Sports is a crazy thing. Like, how did this wimpy little kid
Nobody won, boy!
turn into such a vicious monster? Well, the answer is blood, sweat, and an old man's mitts. That's right, today we're covering the story of Hajime no Ippo. Honestly, this one is too good for me to spoil anything. So, whether you're an Ippo fan looking for a refresher, or you're experiencing this story for the first time, I think it's high time we dive right in. The very first episode starts with what is going to be a very familiar sight. Our MC, Makunouchi Ippo, is helping his mom, Hiroki Makunouchi, run their fishing service. Ippo is a humble, hardworking cutie pie who does his best to support his mom's business. The work is hard and tiring, but Ippo never complains. He just gets on with it. The next day at school, Ippo turns down an invitation from his classmates to go see a movie. Why? Because he has to help his mom run their shop. His classmates don't understand that and make fun of him for it. Spoiled little brats. And it goes from bad to worse for Ippo. He runs into Masahiko Umezawa on his way back home, and he starts bullying Ippo for smelling like worms? Yeah, that's never happened. Umezawa beats Ippo's face in for a while, and it's looking bad until a man with a fantastic pompadour steps in. Seriously, that thing's glorious. He grabs Ippo and puts him to the side before telling Umezawa and his lackeys to back off. This pisses Umezawa off big time, so he attacks, but the guy doesn't do anything. He just bobs and weaves his way through the bullies. Umezawa wants round 2 until he sees the man stole all their buttons? How? Umezawa and his lackeys are scared and run away, leaving Ippo to thank this mysterious man before passing out. When Ippo wakes up, he's in a strange place. It's a boxing gym. After Ippo gawks at everything for a bit, Pompadour Man shows up. His name is Mamoru Takamura, and he's a professional boxer. Ippo thanks Takamura for saving him, to which Takamura says Ippo should try fighting back sometimes. To help him practice, Takamura draws Umezawa on a paper and places him on a punching bag. Ippo's gonna punch it. After teaching him the proper form, Takamura and the rest of the gym watches as Ippo sends the punching bag flying backwards. Takamura then sees Ippo's knuckles. The skin is peeling off of them. Damn! After patching up his hand and feeling him out, Takamura tells Ippo he's stronger than he looks. He should fight back against his bullies. Takamura then has to go do road work, aka cardio, but he gives Ippo some boxing tapes to watch. Ippo takes them home and immediately starts helping his mom with her customers. But Hiroko can tell her son is being bullied, and she tells him he doesn't have to help her every day. She can manage. Half an episode in, and I can tell she is a goated mom. After that, Ippo pops in the tapes Takamura gave him and spends the next hour being amazed at how strong and incredible boxers are. He's just like me for real. The next day, Ippo buys a boxing magazine and sees that Takamura is an up-and-coming pro fighter, and so his obsession begins. In class and at home, all Ippo does is read about and watch boxing. It's all he can think about too, day in and day out till it consumes every last bit of his existence. Some days pass, and Ippo tracks down Takamura as he's doing his morning road work. There, Ippo tells Takamura the truth. He wants to become a professional boxer just like Takamura. Wow, bro saw Takamura steal some buttons and made a career decision out of it. And Takamura gets mad at Ippo. He says boxing isn't something you can just do on a whim and tells Ippo to respect it. But Ippo says he's put serious thought into it. He's tired of being a bullied weakling and he wants to be strong like Takamura. So Takamura agrees to teach him boxing on one condition. Takamura kicks a tree, which makes the leaves fall. He then starts grabbing the leaves out of the air. Ippo's goal is simple. If he can grab 10 of those leaves, Takamura will teach him boxing. Here we go. The next episode starts with Takamura telling Ippo he has a week to grab 10 leaves before leaving the kid alone. Now, in Takamura's mind, there's no way an amateur can grab 10 leaves. The reason he gave Ippo this challenge was so he'd give up on boxing, but Takamura underestimated Ippo's resolve. Ippo immediately begins his training and realizes he has a problem. He can only grab one leaf at a time. We then see the training montage. Ippo working on leaf grabbing day and night, even practicing in class too, until he finally does it. He grabs 2 leaves at once. Hard work pays off, kids. Later, Ippo comes home to a note from his mom telling him to forget about helping her and focus on whatever he's been passionate about. Just like I said, Hiroko is the GOAT! So, Ippo keeps his training up. After struggling to get past 5 leaves, Ippo remembers how Takamura did it and realizes the trick. He has to throw quick jabs. So, he does that, and a few days later, Takamura finds Ippo waiting for him. And to Takamura's surprise, Ippo actually grabs 10 leaves. Takamura is shocked. He meant for Ippo to grab 10 leaves with both hands, yet this mad lad did it with 1. Takamura is impressed, and he agrees to teach Ippo how to box. Let's freaking go! Takamura gives Ippo an exercise program to follow for a month, which he does. And a month later, he takes Ippo to Kamogawa gym where he's gonna train. There, Ippo meets Haruhiko Yagi, the manager of the gym, and Genji Kamogawa, the bald old trainer there who's a firm believer in tough love. I'm gonna call him Chief, since that's what everyone else calls him. Now, the Chief takes one look at Ippo and tells Takamura he's a fool for bringing him here. But Takamura demands Ippo be given a chance. So the Chief gives him one by putting him in a sparring match against Ichiro Miyata. Miyata is, how do I put this, the most skilled amateur boxer in the country. In fact, the only reason he doesn't have a license is he's not 17 yet. Takamura tells Ippo all he has to do is survive and show the Chief how badly he wants to achieve his goal. Unfortunately, after flailing around like an idiot, Miyata lands a 1-2 and knocks Ippo down. He's way out of Ippo's league. The next episode starts with Ippo getting back to his feet, which stuns everyone. Miyata just goes at him again and puts him down a second time. Everyone thinks he's done for real this time, but with Takamura's encouragement, Ippo manages to get up again. Through sheer willpower, he manages to survive the round, and the Chief is impressed. Miyata is pissed though. Takamura tells Ippo he'll be taking the offensive in the next round. It's time to practice the jab he spent so much time learning. So the second round begins and everyone can see the fire in Ippo's eyes. Ippo begins walking Miyata down with his jab and corners the prodigy. He then swings a right only to stumble and fall. Damn! Takamura reminds him how to throw a right, so Ippo starts walking Miyata down again, and breaks his guard. Ippo almost lands a right, but Miyata dodges and the round ends. Wow! Unfortunately, Miyata starts cooking Ippo in the next round and knocks him down, but Ippo gets back up again. So Miyata knocks him down, only for Ippo to get up again. Nobody can believe what they're seeing. This kid has the heart of a tiger. Takamura tells Ippo to hang in there as Miyata starts piecing him up. Despite Miyata's best hits, Ippo refuses to go down. After each devastating blow, he comes back for more, swinging his own punches too. Eventually, Miyata smacks Ippo with a counterpunch, knocking him out cold. Ow! But winning was never the point. The Chief is super impressed. He tells Takamura to bring Ippo in starting tomorrow. He's gonna make a boxer out of that kid. Even Miyata is impressed. Takamura wakes Ippo up and the kid is sad, until Takamura tells him he's been accepted into the gym. He meets all the other boxers, including Tatsuya Kimura and Masaru Aoki. Ippo cries tears of joy. He can chase his own dream now. And later that night, Hiroko just smiles as she watches her son sleep. The next episode starts with Ippo pulling up to Kamogawa gym for his first official day. After being pranked by Aoki and Kimura, the Chief shows up, saying he'll train Ippo personally, and he's terrifying. So he tells Ippo to put on some gloves and starts practicing with him. Aoki, Kimura, and Takamura watch on as the Chief trains Ippo, and Ippo's power is devastating. Everyone can see that. The Chief is impressed by Ippo's strength and stamina. This boy might be built different. That's when Miyata walks in and the chief says he'll have Ippo at Miyata's level in 3 months alone. That's one hell of a claim. Miyata heard that too, and he's mad as hell. Anyway, the chief starts teaching Ippo about the uppercut, and to everyone's surprise, Ippo throws a picture-perfect uppercut on his first try. The chief is brimming with excitement. Ippo is one talented kid. Takamura agrees with him, but Aoki and Kimura can't see it. The next day, the chief tells Ippo to do shadow boxing while he's away, but there's only one problem. Ippo has no idea how to do it. After getting some terrible advice from Aoki and Kimura, Ippo realizes he just needs to fight an invisible opponent, so he picks Miyata. Unfortunately, all he can visualize is getting his face beaten in. Ippo then decides to watch Miyata box, but it's no use. He's too fast for Ippo to read. Later at home, Ippo sees the 10 leaves he caught and remembers how he pulled through at that time. So he locks in and starts studying Miyata. Takamura wants to help, but the chief tells him to let Ippo figure it out himself, so Ippo stays at it. And wouldn't you know it, 3 days later, Ippo has captured Miyata's shadow. The chief is impressed, but that's only step 1. Ippo has a long way to go. Episode 5 starts with Ippo realizing Miyata's secret move, the counter punch. After some shadow boxing, he goes to the chief for advice, who helps him figure out a solution. Basically, they're gonna lure Miyata in instead of going after him. Pretty smart. After practice, Ippo sees Miyata Sr., who used to be a boxer back in the day too. Ippo misses his own dad, who passed away, but focuses on his training. Miyata Sr. sees potential in Ippo and realizes the chief is using Miyata and Ippo's rivalry to make both of them better. At the end of the session, both Ippo and the chief are exhausted. That's some hardcore stuff. Later, Takamura tells Ippo he needs to buy boxing shoes, so Ippo goes to the store where he's about to get ripped off by the owner until Miyata shows up. He helps Ippo pick an appropriate pair of shoes before vanishing, but Ippo chases him down and offers him some juice. This guy's the cutest patootiest ever. So they share a juice and we learn more about Miyata. Turns out his dad was a great boxer who relied on technique over power, but after he got knocked out in a title match, Miyata Sr. gave up. As he put it, you can't be a champion without power. So Miyata's entire purpose is to become a champion using his father's style to prove you can reach the top without crazy power. Damn, that's kind of like the Rock Lee model. Oh, wait, that's the other way around. Never mind. Anyway, hearing this inspires Ippo, and he asks the chief to change their game plan. He wants to fight Miyata head on. It's a crazy plan, but the chief is crazy too and agrees to it. We cut to the training montage, and the chief puts Ippo through the ringer. It gets so brutal that Ippo doesn't know if he can keep going like this. But on his way home, Ippo sees Miyata still doing road work, and his fire is reignited. Cue the second training montage, and Ippo is giving it his all. Before you know it, 3 months have passed, and there's just one more day till Ippo's rematch with Miyata. The next episode starts with Ippo rushing home. Today's the day he spars with Miyata again. Hiroko sees how excited he is and says she'll take care of the work, so Ippo heads over to the gym, seeing a really cute girl on the way there, and starts getting ready. Meanwhile, a man named Minoru Fuji shows up at the gym. He's a journalist for a boxing magazine, and he wants to do a piece on Miyata. He's just in time too, because Miyata and Ippo are about to step into the ring together, with Takamura as the referee. Ippo is super nervous, but the chief calms him down and he's ready for the fight. The match begins and Ippo immediately takes the fight to Miyata. He's putting the pressure on Miyata, who isn't taking Ippo too seriously. That is, until Ippo lands a clean 1-2 combo and puts Miyata on his ass. Ippo is surprised, but the chief isn't. The training has paid off. Miyata gets back up though, and he lands a counter punch himself, knocking Ippo down. But Ippo gets back up. The fight continues, and we see how Ippo survived. He learned how to counter Miyata's counter punch. He then proceeds to connect a thunderous overhand, knocking Miyata down again. Miyata gets up, but he's in bad shape. One more knockdown, and Ippo wins. So, Ippo goes in for the kill. He's gonna land an uppercut. Unfortunately for him, Miyata is an absolute demon, and he counterpunches the uppercut. Jesus! Ippo drops down and it looks like he's cooked, but somehow he gets back on his feet. The round ends and both fighters are beyond cooked. At this point, everyone is cheering, including Fuji. He just found a gem in Ippo, and that was just round 1. The next episode starts with Ippo being happy? He's really proud of how far he's come in these 3 months and wants to beat Miyata. Unfortunately, the second round shows the gap in their experience. Instead of fighting, Miyata just clinches Ippo and tires him out in the second round while regaining his own stamina. And when the third round begins, Miyata puts on a masterclass. He uses his longer range to pepper Ippo, slowly but surely piling on the damage. And when Ippo's feet stop moving, Miyata moves in and delivers a sharp right to knock Ippo down. Yeesh, this guy is good! But somehow, someway, Ippo gets back on his feet. The round ends and everyone is trying to figure out how Ippo got back up. In his corner, the chief tells Ippo it's okay to give up now. He's shown enough. But Ippo says he has one last thing he needs to try. So the final round begins. Miyata goes on the offensive, pushing Ippo against the ropes and unleashing a barrage of attacks. But Ippo patiently waits it out until he sees his chance and goes for a sneaky uppercut. It only grazes Miyata's chin, but it's enough. Miyata falls to his knees. Miyata tries getting back up, but his legs won't respond, and Takamura counts to 10. Takamura then raises Ippo's arm. He's won! After the fight, Ippo tries talking to Miyata, but Miyata Sr. stops Ippo and congratulates him. He deserved the win. The chief then starts lecturing Ippo, only for the kid to pass out from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Miyata is devastated. Full clothes in the shower is crazy work. Later, Fuji sends the chief a picture of Ippo's uppercut. He's looking forward to Ippo's development. The chief is excited too, though he won't say it. And Ippo, he's at home enjoying his win. As he should. The next episode starts with Ippo happily making his way to the gym, only to see Miyata isn't there. Miyata doesn't show up the next day either, and Ippo is really bummed out. As a result, his punches lack the same conviction, and that makes the chief mad. So he gives Ippo the worst punishment, a week of training with Takamura. Takamura is a week out from a fight. He's fully locked in. So Ippo goes to train with him and is absolutely shocked. Even on a diet, Takamura is on a completely different level. Ippo can't keep up with him at all. A single day of training puts Ippo on his knees. Takamura is a beast. Takamura then gives Ippo a reality check. If he's worried about making friends with Miyata, he's not gonna make it as a boxer. Harsh! Takamura apologizes for that later. He's on a diet to cut weight and he's really moody. Takamura invites Ippo to his place as an apology and Ippo accepts, only to see the place is a mess. Anyway, Ippo stays the night and that's when he sees it. Because of his diet, Takamura is so hungry he can't even sleep. Takamura makes his way to the fridge to eat something, but just goes back to bed instead. Seeing the struggle that pro boxers go through lights the fire in Ippo's soul. He is back to being himself. The week flies by, and it's time for Takamura's match. Ippo is nervous, but he shouldn't be, because Takamura knocks this chump out in one punch. Takamura really did this. Takamura wins and Ippo is inspired. He wants to be a pro boxer too. On his way back, Ippo runs into Miyata. Miyata says he quit Kamogawa Gym for one reason, so he and Ippo can face each other in a real match. He says they're 1-1 and they'll have the deciding match in the final of the Eastern Japan Rookie Tournament. Ippo agrees and the rivalry is officially born. The next episode opens with Ippo being nervous. He's about to take his pro certification exam. Aoki and Kimura helped calm him down, and Takamura takes him to the exam. After seeing the same cute girl from before, Ippo runs into a pretty scary looking dude at the weigh-ins. More on him later. After passing the written exam, it's time to step into the ring. Ippo is super nervous again, but Takamura bucks him up. As he steps into the ring, Ippo is mesmerized by the bright lights, and his opponent thinks he has an easy win. But Ippo hits like a truck and punches the guy so hard he flips over. After that, it's the scary guy's turn to box, and he's well, a little violent. He beats his opponent senseless, and even the referee can't stop him. Yikes! Later, Fuji introduces Ippo to this guy. His name is Ryo Mashiba, and he's in the same weight class as Ippo. He tells Ippo to switch weight classes, but Ippo refuses. He has a promise to keep to Miyata. The next day, Ippo gets his pro license and he's hyped. Even the chief is smiling. On his way home, Ippo gets ambushed by Umezawa and his goons who steal his license. So Ippo bobs and weaves their attacks and gets it back. He didn't join the gym to get revenge on these suckers. He joined it because he loves boxing, and Umezawa is stunned. Ippo reflects on how far he's come in these 6 months and is determined to keep pushing forward. Some days pass and he heads to the gym. There, Fuji shows up with 2 tapes. They're Miyata and Mashiba's debut match wins, both by KO. Seeing this, Ippo is even more motivated to do his best, and lucky for him, he has a chance to do just that. His debut match has been set. Episode 10 opens with Ippo learning the true name of his opponent, Yusuke Oda. Turns out, Oda is a lazy bastard who's more interested in dating his coach's daughter Riko than he is in training. But Oda's coach makes it very clear, if he loses against Ippo, the gym won't sponsor him, and he can't date the coach's daughter either. While Ippo is training his ass off, Riko catches Oda slacking off as usual and it upsets her. Her mood gets even worse when Ippo and the others walk into the same restaurant as her, because Takamura, Aoki, and Kimura all talk about Oda like he's a bum. Man, that's gotta hurt. So, Riko breaks up with Oda. She says he's not the same Oda she fell in love with. He's turned into a lazy bum, and she doesn't want to be with someone like that. That's all the motivation Oda needs. He hauls ass into the gym and begs his trainer to start training him immediately. We then see the training montage of not just Ippo, but Oda too. They're both training like crazy, doing their best to chase their dreams. They eventually meet at the weigh-in and Oda has fire in his eyes. This is no longer the bum Takamura was making fun of. This man is on a mission. After the weigh-ins, Ippo does some shadow boxing to calm himself down. The next day, Ippo is getting ready backstage and then it's time for his match. After throwing some punches on the wall, he's ready. He walks out with his friends cheering him on. Ippo gets in the ring and is mesmerized by the lights again. But he doesn't have time to get nervous because Oda is here and the match is about to begin. Oh, I have literal goosebumps. After some last-minute words from the chief, and with Miyata watching from the stands, the match begins. The first round sees some back and forth, with both of them being aggressive, but Ippo's insane power comes through in the second round, and he knocks down Oda. Oda gets up again and manages to make a cut above Ippo's eye. The doctor lets him continue, but says he'll stop the match if the cut gets too bad. So, they trade blows in the third round, and Oda manages to open the cut again, putting pressure on Ippo. This looks bad. With Ippo's left side completely blocked, he switches to southpaw style, which completely bamboozles Oda. It takes some getting used to, but Ippo learns how to jab with his right instead of his left and knocks Oda out cold. He's won. Everyone cheers and Ippo can't believe it. He thanks Oda for the match, who walks off without a word. Miyata is impressed too. Ippo is the real deal now. Meanwhile, Oda is super pissed that he lost and thinks it's all over, but Riko and his trainer both saw the work and effort he put in. He has his girlfriend back and the gym isn't dropping him either. Hajime no Ippo has a weird way of making you fall in love with characters who show up for just one episode, and Oda is one of them. After the match, the chief heads off while Ippo and the others head off to celebrate, and Ippo loves the feeling. He needs to do it again. Ooh, and he will. The next episode starts with Ippo going about his day as normal and seeing the cute girl again. He still can't believe he won even as he heads to school. There, after everyone sees his bandages, he tells his classmates he's a pro boxer and they're all stunned. For about 5 minutes and then they stop caring. Damn. But you know who is interested? Umezawa and his lackeys. Turns out they want to apologize to Ippo and be friends with him, but Umezawa chickens out and just asks Ippo about his match instead. Damn! The next day, Fuji visits the gym and gives Ippo the tape from Miyata's last match. After watching Miyata's tape, Ippo is as scared as he is impressed. Miyata's one tough son of a gun. The next day, Ippo's next opponent is announced, Yoshio Fujiwara. On the day of the match, Umezawa and his lackeys show up to see Ippo's match. They watch as Ippo starts smoking his opponent, showing his dominance. Unfortunately, the opponent is a piece of who headbutts Ippo to get an advantage and score a knockdown. The sucker does it again and tries a third time too, but Ippo was ready for it and lands a devastating uppercut. Umezawa and the crowd cheer on as Ippo wins his second match. The next day at school, Umezawa introduces Ippo to his fellow delinquents as his buddy before telling them all about Ippo's match. Ippo's a bit weirded out, but he's happy. At least someone at school is excited about his win. Episode 13 opens with a bit of a time skip. It's now been a full year since Ippo joined Kamogawa Gym. He's celebrating with his friends, but is worried about the rookie tournament. The next day, he finds out his first opponent in the tournament, an American boxer named Jason Ozuma. Oh, and Miyata and Mashiba are in a different pool, so he won't see either until the final. Fuji shows up with all the info he has on Jason, but it's not a lot. Looks like Ippo is gonna have to focus on himself this time. Meanwhile, we see Jason. He might be a fierce boxer, but he's a super sweet guy that's doing his best so he can support the gym he's signed with. They're not very rich. Still, they do all they can to support Jason, who promises to win the tournament for them. What a wholesome guy. While Ippo is hard at work training, Jason knocks out a rude sparring partner with his devastating hook. Kamogawa Gym gets the news, and the chief decides to have Ippo spar with Takamura to learn how to dodge the hook. We see the training montage of Ippo doing his best to get better at dodging the hook, but getting his ass beat anyways. Sparring with Takamura is brutal. Still, Ippo keeps at it. This kid has no quit. While Ippo is hard at work, Jason is doing the same. He's determined to win for his newfound family. Back with Ippo, after restless training, he finally manages to dodge Takamura's hook. He's ready to take on Jason. The next episode starts with the weigh-ins, where Ippo meets Jason and finds out he's a pretty chill guy. After that, Ippo's spirit is high. He's ready for the fight. Later, Ippo asks Hiroko if she'll come to his match, but she says she can't go see Ippo get hit. Her heart just can't take it. Aww. She still encourages him and Ippo gets back to training. Then, it's time for the match. Ippo's friends, including Umezawa, are there for the match, while Jason's family has made the trip too. The two fighters face off before heading back to their corners. You could cut the tension with a knife. The match starts and the two fighters immediately get to it, with Ippo having the upper hand. Both of them start throwing their signature moves, Ippo's uppercut versus Jason's hook. Both fighters dodge each other's moves over and over until Ippo finally gets caught with a hook, knocking him down. He gets up, but Jason piles on the hits. Ippo manages to get a counterpunch in as they both hit each other at the same time, and both fighters are being cautious as the first round ends. Ippo has taken more damage though. It's not looking great. Still, the chief tells Ippo he's still in this fight. The second round starts and Ippo has an insane strategy. Trade blows with Jason head on. He tanks Jason's punches but lands his own at the same time, and the crowd is loving it. The episode ends with both fighters hurt, and a knockout is coming soon. Episode 15 starts with the fighters still trading blows, and it's getting to Jason's head. Even though he's done more damage, Ippo's toughness is scaring him. They continue trading, and the damage eventually gives. Ippo is knocked down again. He's about to pass out, but the chief's words bring him back, and he gets up. This terrifies Jason, who throws a desperate hook. Ippo dodges, and Jason is wide open, so he blasts Jason with a body shot, knocking him down. That was insane. But despite getting hit with a shot that'd kill a normal man, with his friend's support, Jason gets back up. He's got the will of a champion. They start trading again, and Ippo gets put on the back foot. It looks like he's gonna eat a hook and lose, but he dodges it at the last second. Ippo then unleashes a thunderous 5-hit combo, knocking Jason out. He sent that man back to the United States. Damn! Ippo then heads over and thanks Jason for the great match, and Jason tells him to win the tournament. Just two dudes being brilliant sportsman. You love to see it. Despite losing, Jason gets a standing ovation from the crowd. They loved him, and they cheer even louder for Ippo, who thanks everyone. Jason is sad about the match, but not too sad. After all, it was an epic brawl, and Ippo is greeted by his friends after the match. The undefeated streak continues. The next episode starts with Ippo and Takamura going to see Miyata's match. There, the cute girl Ippo has been crushing over sits next to him. Luck seems to be on his side. Anyway, Miyata's fight begins, and Ippo watches as he expertly lures his opponent into a devastating counterpunch. Ippo is amazed. Miyata has gotten much better since they last fought. That's when the girl next to him gets up and leaves, and she looks upset. More on that later. For now, Ippo just heads to the gym and does his usual training. He then learns who his next opponent will be, an underdog called Kobashi. They all watch the tape and see the problem. Kobashi is a defensive boxer. He runs around, jabs, and clinches his opponents so he can win on points. Boo! They then see another boxer's tape. His name is Hayami, and he's popular with the ladies, which means Takamura, Aoki, and Kimura hate him. Unfortunately, the guy moves and boxes like Muhammad Ali. After seeing this, Ippo goes right back to practicing. He needs to get better. On his way home, he decides to stop at a bakery, only to see his crush works there. All the signs are telling him to talk to her, but he probably won't. The next day, Ippo is training his ass off again, only for Takamura and the others to start cooking him for liking a girl. Damn, that's harsh and hilarious. Anyway, later that day, Takamura tells Ippo his title match has been decided, so he invites Ippo for a training camp trip to Izu. The next episode starts with Ippo and the others making it to Izu, which is a beach town. Ippo is stuck carrying everything, and he's worried about them not training, but Kimura says they're going to strike a fine balance between fun and training. Unfortunately, they make Ippo sit around while they go hit on girls. Typical Takamura, by the way. Ippo takes a nap and has dreams of the chief and Miyata cooking him. He wakes up to see Takamura and the others in gear. It's training time. It's even more intense than what Ippo is used to. He can barely keep up. Still, he manages to get through it, and after some tomfoolery, the boxers go to bed. The next day, Takamura sees Ippo sparring with Kimura, and he's struggling. So Takamura tells Ippo he has a big flaw in his boxing, his movement. If Ippo wants to beat Hayami, he needs to train his toes. So Kimura starts training Ippo by throwing tennis balls left and right, making him adjust to catching them. They train the entire week, with Ippo getting better slowly but surely. By the end of the week, Ippo can easily keep up with Kimura. He's improved a lot. To celebrate the end of the training camp, they decide to light fireworks. There, Takamura says he doesn't care about the Japanese title he's gonna fight for. For him, the real goal is the World Championship. Ippo is inspired. He wants to win the rookie tournament too, but no matter how serious they get, the shenanigans never end with these guys. The next episode starts with Ippo finding out he'll be the opening act for Takamura's title match. His opponent is Kobashi, the guy who clinches a lot and wins on points. Everyone thinks it'll be an easy win, but Ippo wants to work hard regardless. What Ippo doesn't know is that Kobashi is at Kamogawa Gym, spying on him. Ippo sees him and Kobashi runs, dropping his notebook, but Ippo just gives it back to Kobashi, and the dude confesses about the spying. This worries Ippo, so he's going to train even harder. Meanwhile, it's clear that no one at Kobashi's gym likes his style. Well, no one but his coach, who supports Kobashi completely. Still, Ippo's punches put the fear of God in Kobashi. He starts shaking whenever he thinks about them, and I don't blame him. The day of the match comes, and after encouragement from their camps, Kobashi and Ippo step into the ring. Ippo tries taking the fight to him, but Kobashi uses his Floyd Mayweather tactics to stop his attacks. Kobashi dodges and blocks and clinches whenever Ippo goes for his big punches, getting his own jabs in between the clinches. The first round ends with Ippo having dealt basically no damage. Kobashi knows a single punch from Ippo will end him, so he's not gonna let Ippo throw any. Meanwhile, the chief tells Ippo to relax and stick to his game plan. His chance will come. Unfortunately, this plays right into Kobashi's plan. He keeps his distance, throwing jabs and making Ippo work hard to get close. As a result, Ippo is already sweating heavily in the second round. This looks bad. The next episode starts with Kobashi doing more of the same, luring Ippo in, tiring him out, and then peppering him with jabs. The second round ends and Kobashi is in the lead by 2 points now. The third round is pretty even, but that means Kobashi is still leading by 2 points. Ippo needs a knockout. So, after an interesting tactic by the Chief, Ippo rushes Kobashi, giving it his all. However, Ippo leaves himself wide open and Kobashi cracks him with a perfect 1-2, pushing him back. Unfortunately, that 1-2 turns out to be Kobashi's downfall, because now this guy feels confident in his punches. So instead of writing out a decision win like always, Kobashi goes in for a KO. He jumps Ippo, throwing punch after punch, desperately trying to knock him down. Unfortunately, doing this leaves him wide open, and Ippo lands a sick shot to his body. But Kobashi still wants the KO, and they start trading punches. This leads to Ippo finally getting a chance to land a devastating straight right, and Kobashi gets knocked down. He tries his best to get back up, but with 2 seconds left in the final round, Kobashi passes out. Ippo wins. After the match, Kobashi regrets his decision, but his coach says he did well, and they're going to make sure he gets a KO soon. That's wholesome as hell. Ippo goes backstage to buck up Takamura. He's on next. Ippo is too injured though, so he has to watch from backstage. But as the match starts, Ippo decides he's gonna watch it in person, only to see Takamura has been knocked down by the time he gets there. So Ippo, Kimura, and Aoki start cheering Takamura on, who gets back up with fire in his eyes. Here we go. Episode 20 starts with Takamura getting back to his feet, and what follows is a beatdown so disgusting I feel sick just talking about it. Takamura takes the champ to school, dealing devastating punches again and again. The champ falls down and there's no count. It's a clean knockout. Takamura really did it. He is the junior middleweight champion of Japan. After the match, everyone is super happy. Even the Chief celebrates the win. But Ippo knows how hard Takamura worked to achieve that and plans to do the same to win the rookie tournament. The next day, Ippo gets career counseling from his teacher. Now, the teacher says Ippo should consider college, but after seeing Ippo's determination, the teacher gives in. Ippo is meant to be a boxer.
You're goddamn right.
Later, Ippo runs into Kobashi. Kobashi congratulates Ippo before telling him to do his best in the next match. He's probably going to fight Hayami, and he's one tough son of a gun. What's more, the Chief shows Ippo that his current tactics won't work against Hayami, so they start working on his defense. The next day, Ippo goes to see Hayami's match, which is acting as a curtain raiser for Aoki's match, and Hayami is super nervous. Anyway, Ippo and his friends watch on as Hayami's match begins, and Takamura and Aoki can't stand how much the ladies are into this kid. Anyway, Hayami's match begins, and we see just why he's so good. He frustrates opponents at medium range, forcing them to attack, and once they do, Hayami counters with a sneaky uppercut before landing a million punches, sending them crashing into the mat. Ippo is in awe. This is his toughest matchup yet. Episode 21 starts with Aoki winning his match, but it's not a pretty win at all. Hey, a win's a win. Anyway, Ippo gets back to the gym the next day to find Miyata there, congratulating Takamura on the title. After some shenanigans, Miyata sees that Ippo isn't that confident, so he tells Ippo to get his together and heads out. Meanwhile, Fuji heads over to Hayami's gym to get an interview. Hayami basically says he doesn't care how good Ippo is. He's not gonna lose to an infighter. Cocky bastard. Back with Ippo, he's struggling to come up with a technique to beat Hayami until he talks to Umezawa. That's when Ippo gets an idea. He's going to counterpunch Hayami. The Chief thinks it's a terrible idea until Ippo explains it. So, with the help of Aoki, Ippo gets to training on counterpunching Hayami's sneaky uppercut. Ippo goes at it like his life is on the line, taking uppercuts from Aoki over and over to perfect his reaction time. Hell, he even trains when he has a fever. This kid is unreal. The day of the match comes and every single girl there is cheering for Hayami. Ippo has his fair share of support too. His humble story really connects with the crowd. All the journalists there are wondering how long it'll take for Hayami to win, but Fuji knows Ippo has a real chance here. Ippo always has a chance. The match starts and both boxers show their strengths, Hayami's incredible speed and Ippo's destructive power. They're both impressed with each other, and Ippo is sticking to his game plan, He's waiting for the uppercut. Unfortunately, Hayami isn't going to throw it. He's decided to trade punches with Ippo? I did not see that coming. The next episode starts with Ippo being startled by Hayami's tactics. As a result, Hayami beats him up and even manages to get a lucky knockdown on Ippo. Ippo's confidence is kinda crushed until he remembers the promise he made to Miyata. He has to win this. So Ippo gets back up and forces Hayami to back off from infighting range. Hayami adjusts, but Ippo keeps piling on the pressure. He eventually lands some good shots on Hayami, backing him into a corner. There, Hayami throws his sneaky uppercut, and Ippo goes in for the counterpunch, and they hit each other at the same time. Wow! Ippo reels from the hit, but it looks like Hayami took no damage. Ippo is disheartened until the chief tells him Hayami did take damage. He's just playing tough. So Ippo goes in and starts throwing haymakers like he's a farmer. Hayami dodges his punches at first and starts throwing his own, but since he's hurt, Hayami's punches are much slower. As a result, Ippo dodges them all and lands a sickening body shot. Look at that! He then backs Hayami down before taking him out with a skull-crushing uppercut. Hayami drops to the floor, and it's over. Ippo is going to the final. Ippo's friends are overjoyed, and Hayami's fangirls are stunned. Not bad for a fishing boat kid, eh? Hayami wakes up and realizes he lost. But he's not disheartened. After all, even Muhammad Ali lost once in a while. He heads off with his head raised high, as he should. After the match, Ippo thanks everyone for teaching him something different. He's here because they all helped him. With that, Ippo has made it to the final, and he's waiting for Miyata. But to get there, Miyata has to beat Mashiba, which is easier said than done. Episode 23 opens with Ippo's rest day. Unfortunately, he's too used to training, so he does his regular road work to calm down. After that, he decides to pay his crush a visit at the bakery. There, she asks if Ippo is a boxer, and asks him if it's fun. Ippo says it is, and his crush asks him to do his best. This cheers Ippo right up. He thinks he has a chance with her. Meanwhile, at Miyata and Mashiba's weigh-ins, Mashiba insults him and his father, but Miyata is calm. After all, they settle things tomorrow. The next day, Ippo sees his crush at Miyata's match, and just assumes she's a Miyata fan. Bummer. Anyway, Miyata and Mashiba are ready for their fight. It's about to go down. The two boxers step inside the ring and the tension is palpable. The bell rings and the fight begins. Immediately, it's clear Miyata has the advantage in speed. Mashiba can't keep up normally, so Mashiba uses his signature move, the flicker jabs. These jabs use his insane range to pummel opponents while keeping Mashiba out of harm. The technique is working perfectly until Miyata pulls the Uno reverse card, copying Mashiba's stance. He then uses his shoulder to block Mashiba's jabs before landing a clean combo and putting Mashiba on his ass. Mashiba gets back up, but Miyata is right back at him. Mashiba is literally saved by the bell. That last punch would have sent him to the Shadow Realm. But even though he's hurt, Mashiba completely ignores his corner's advice and charges straight at Miyata in the second round. Is this guy stupid? Miyata responds by cooking Mashiba with his punches and is about to go in for the final blow. But to absolutely no one's surprise, Mashiba is a cheating bastard. Mashiba trips Miyata and lands a devastating cheap shot. He then starts attacking Miyata over and over till the poor guy drops to the floor. Are the referees in Ippo just blind? The next episode sees Miyata on the ground, and the referee is counting. But with Ippo's promise in mind, Miyata gets back to his feet. He survives the rest of the round and even gets a sick counterpunch in, leaving Mashiba super frustrated. Mashiba wants to go in for the kill, but feels like he might have missed his best chance. Meanwhile, Miyata is in trouble. His foot is sprained. Mashiba's such a prick for that. Miyata's entire game depends on his footwork, so his dad says they should just throw the towel in, but Miyata stops him. He has a promise to keep. This is not gonna end well. The third round begins, and both Ippo and Mashiba have noticed Miyata's injury. Mashiba starts cornering Miyata, using Miyata's injury against him and landing shot after shot. But Miyata is a tough cookie, and he lands a counterpunch even though he can barely stand. Mashiba is startled, but continues attacking until Miyata starts walking him down. Miyata uses every ounce of power he has left and puts it into one final counterpunch against Mashiba. His timing is perfect, but he's running out of juice. Mashiba's punch hits, Miyata falls to the ground, and the match is over. Mashiba wins. Cheating scumbag. After the match, Ippo heads backstage to check up on Miyata. He doesn't get to see Miyata, but Miyata's dad apologizes to Ippo on Miyata's behalf for not keeping his promise. This shatters Ippo's heart, and he's mad. Mashiba better watch out. Episode 25 kicks off with Mashiba basically admitting to reporters that he stepped on Miyata's foot on purpose, scaring them off. But Fuji stays behind and warns Mashiba about Ippo. Mashiba just laughs. Ooh, he's gonna regret that. Meanwhile, Ippo is taking his frustrations out on a sandbag, but he overdoes it and punches it until his hands bleed. Yikes! After getting patched up, Ippo and everyone else watch Mashiba's tape. Mashiba has the advantage at long range, so Ippo is just gonna have to close the distance. It's gonna be a battle of wills. As usual, we get the running montage, because all Ippo does in this training is just run, run, and run. After that, he goes to the bakery his crush works at, hoping to have a chat. There, Ippo finds out something devastating. His crush is Mashiba's younger sister. Of all the things it could have been. Ippo is upset and goes to Takamura for advice, who turns it into a joke. I feel bad for laughing, but Takamura is hilarious. Anyway, that's when Fuji shows up with details about Mashiba and his sister Kumi. Turns out their parents died in a traffic accident 3 years ago, and they've been all alone ever since. We see this at their home, with Kumi greeting Mashiba before making him some food, and Mashiba's actually really nice to his sister. It's here we see Mashiba's problem. He's a bit of a violent fellow, and he can never hold down a job. Still, he needs to support Kumi, and he plans to do it through boxing. That's why he's so desperate that he'll even cheat to win. He's doing it to support his little sister. I used to think Ippo was weird, but he might be the most normal person in this show. The next episode starts with Ippo still running, while we see Mashiba at his job. He's finally at a place where he can hold down a job, and that's because his boss is a really sweet guy. Anyway, we see the fruits of both Ippo and Mashiba's training. Mashiba's flicker jabs are as fast as ever, while Ippo has gotten much faster at closing the distance. They both look incredible. The day of the match comes, and Mashiba is super confident. He thinks he's going to win, but one look at Ippo tells us that Wimpy Kid is long gone. That's the look of a warrior ready for battle. With that, both boxers make their way to the ring. After an intense stare down, the bell rings and the match starts. Mashiba starts on top, using a feint to trick Ippo and start blasting him with flicker jabs. Ippo manages to dodge the follow-up and realizes Mashiba is the real deal. But that just pisses him off even more. If he's so good, why did he cheat against Miyata? This brings Ippo's fighting spirit back, and he starts dodging all of Mashiba's jabs. He then darts in for a sickening body blow, only for the bell to save Mashiba from some serious damage. Lucky bastard. Ippo's corner tells him to do more of the same, and he's confident, but Mashiba is just laughing. He's got something up his sleeve. The second round begins, and Ippo backs Mashiba against the ropes. He dives in for a body blow, only for Mashiba to pull out his secret move, an elbow block. Ippo's punch lands right on Mashiba's elbow. That's gotta hurt. The next episode starts with Mashiba countering another body blow with his elbow. It's not an illegal move, but it is a nasty one. Mashiba's plan is simple. Use his elbow to shatter Ippo's right hand. Unfortunately for him, Ippo is a psychopath, and he starts spamming rights to Mashiba's body. Mashiba keeps blocking them, and he's landing his own hits, but it's too much. Mashiba's left hand just stops working. With that, Ippo goes on the offensive, destroying Mashiba's body with punches. The bell saves Mashiba again, and Ippo has the upper hand. Kumi can't stand to see this anymore and just runs away. Damn! Ippo's right hand is cooked, and the chief tells him to consider throwing in the towel, but we all know that's not happening. So the chief tells Ippo to only use his right hand for the final punch now. Meanwhile, Mashiba's left arm is finished. He can't even raise it. Because of this, Ippo starts raining hellfire down on Mashiba, hitting him over and over again. Meanwhile, Mashiba's boss convinces Kumi to go back inside and cheer for her brother. They return to see that, despite all those hits, Mashiba is still standing. With his his sister's ambitions in his heart, Mashiba picks up his left arm through sheer willpower. He then lands a thunderous 1-2, knocking Ippo down. This match is so unpredictable. Every sensible person thinks Ippo is down for the count. But what can I say? Fishing boat kids are built different. Ippo gets back up and sees Mashiba's legs shaking. He knows he has a chance, so the fight resumes and something has got to give. In episode 28, Ippo dives in again, and this time he's using his right hand too. It's reckless, but he has to do it. He hits Mashiba a bunch of times, forcing Mashiba into a clinch. Since Mashiba won't let go, Ippo starts smacking him in the clinch, punching Mashiba until he lets go. After that, Ippo lands 2 earth-shattering rights to Mashiba's face, sending him crashing to the ground. The referee counts, and it looks like Mashiba's going to get up until he just falls over. And just like that, the once bullied little wimp is the rookie champion of Eastern Japan. Ippo celebrates his victory, even though his hand is seriously messed up. Mashiba is having a hard time accepting his defeat, but after Ippo thanks him for a great match, Mashiba accepts it. Cheating sucks, and I hope he learned his lesson. With that, Ippo goes to the crowd and celebrates his victory. And not only is Ippo the champion of his weight class, but he wins the award for the most impressive rookie too. This kid really is something. Some time passes and we see that Miyata is back at his training. Meanwhile, Ippo's back in school for his final semester. There, Umezawa congratulates him and says he's looking forward to Ippo winning the All Japan Rookie Championship in February. Unfortunately, Ippo's hand is too damaged to participate. He's going to have to sit it out. After school, Ippo suddenly remembers Kumi and feels guilty for beating the out of her brother. Young love is so complicated. Ippo goes over to apologize to Kumi, but she runs off before he can get a word in. What's more, she's not working at the bakery anymore. Ippo is hurt, but hey, life sucks sometimes. Meanwhile, we see someone watching Ippo's film, and he's smiling. He can't wait to fight Ippo in the All Japan Rookie Championship. Things are gonna get a whole lot crazier from here on out. The next episode kicks off with us meeting the guy watching Ippo's tapes. His name is Takeshi Sendo, and he's the rookie champion of Western Japan. But when Sendo's coach tells him Ippo won't be fighting in the All Japan tournament, Sendo loses his mind. So Sendo does the sensible thing. He hops on a train to Tokyo to convince Ippo to compete. Ippo gets to the gym to see Sendo there waiting for him. After a brief introduction, Sendo practically begs Ippo to fight in the tournament. They do road work together, and Ippo tells Sendo he just can't. He needs to heal up first. Sendo understands, but he's super disappointed. He was really looking forward to fighting Ippo. That's just life though, you can't always get what you want. Later, Sendo gets an autograph from Takamura, but realizes he doesn't have enough money to go back. So he stays the night, and even trains at Kamogawa gym the next day. While the chief and Yagi head off to Thailand to find Takamura an opponent, Sendo steps in the ring to spar with Takamura. As you can imagine, he's completely outclassed by Takamura, but it's still pretty impressive. Hell, he even manages to land a clean hit on Takamura. This only makes Takamura mad, who pelts Sendo with hits and sends him flying. I think Takamura may have gone a little overboard. Ippo is really impressed by Sendo's drive and spirit. It's got Ippo all fired up. Ippo and Kimura then go to see Sendo off at the train station, but before he leaves, Sendo says he'll be waiting for Ippo at the tournament, and Ippo wants a piece of him too, even though the guy's literally a stalker. Episode 30 starts with Ippo asking his mom to recommend him to a doctor. He wants to see if he can fight in the All Japan tournament, so Ippo goes to see Dr. Yamaguchi, who knows all about sports injuries. She tells Ippo that while it does look bad, he has a chance to recover in time. Still, he'll need to have anesthesia injected into his arm before the fight. Ippo agrees and begins following her rehabilitation program. The chief comes back from Thailand to find Ippo doing this and agrees to let Ippo train. However, it'll be the chief's decision whether he gets to fight or not. Ippo agrees and the training begins. Ippo watches Sendo's tapes, realizing that Sendo is exactly like him, an infighter with punches that hit like trucks. Ippo works on strengthening his shoulders and arms and runs like a madman. But Ippo's not the only one at work. Sendo is working his ass off too, and he's really popular with everyone in his town. Sendo even gives some kids tickets to watch his match with Ippo. I am finding it hard to root against this guy. Anyway, a month passes, Ippo's hand is feeling much better, and he's on his way to Osaka for the match. There's still a few days left, so Ippo gets in the ring to spar with a local boxer. Everything is looking good. He's faster and stronger than ever before, but there's one problem. Ippo can't use his right hand. It's not that it's not healed. Ippo has a mental block stopping him from using it. The worst thing a boxer can be is scared, and Ippo looks horrified. Episode 31 is just a recap of the previous episodes, which is literally what we're doing here, so let's move on. The next episode sees Ippo struggling with the reality of him being scared to use his right hand. The chief says they're withdrawing, but Ippo begs him to let him fight. As Ippo puts it, he'll be able to use his fist during the match. They still have 2 days, so the chief gives in and agrees to let him fight. 2 days go by in the blink of an eye, and it's match day. As Sendo makes it to the arena, Dr. Yamaguchi shows up to inject anesthesia into Ippo's right hand. It works. Ippo can't feel the pain in his right hand, or anything else for that matter. Meanwhile, Sendo is all fired up. He wants to fight Ippo, and he wants to win. The stage is set for the match, and the crowd is huge. Hell, even Japan's featherweight champion Date Iji is there to watch. More on him soon. For now, Ippo gets in the ring, and the match begins. It starts off rough for Ippo. Sendo's punches are as hard as advertised, and he's piecing Ippo up. Ippo is still afraid to use his right, and things are looking bad. Until Ippo sees an opening. He almost punches Sendo's head off with his right, and proceeds to blast him with devastating hits. The bell saves Sendo, and the message is clear. One of these men is gonna knock the other one out. Sendo took some damage in that round, but he's not scared. In fact, he's all fired up. The next round starts, and Sendo comes out with all his guns blazing. He throws a smash, a combo between a hook and an uppercut, before throwing another smash from so low down his fist almost touches the canvas. The episode ends with Sendo's fist rocking Ippo. He's in trouble. So this is what a match between two infighters looks like. The next episode starts with us seeing that Ippo manages to block Sendo's smash, but it still hurts him. Ippo then gets up close with Sendo, and the two start trading haymakers at close range. It is, without a doubt, the coolest fight so far. Sendo eventually manages to gain some distance and grazes Ippo with another smash. Ippo is up against the rope, and it's his turn to be saved by the bell. Back in his corner, Ippo is hurting, but he's not giving up just yet. There's something he has to do. This is intense. The third round starts, and Ippo does something crazy. He copies Sendo's stance. Sendo gets mad and starts swinging, only for Ippo to throw his own version of a smash at him. And this isn't the first time he's done it. If you remember, it's the same punch he beat Miyata with. Ippo and Sendo start going back and forth, and they both trade smashes. Sendo hits a bit harder, and that's when Ippo realizes the secret to his smash. It needs to be straighter. So they go again, and this time Ippo connects, knocking Sendo down. Wow! The crowd is in disbelief, and it looks like Sendo is out cold, but somehow Sendo gets to his feet. He's got nerves of steel. With that, Ippo and Sendo make a quiet agreement. No more guarding. They're gonna punch each other and see who falls first. And yes, it's as brutal and awesome as it sounds. They both look evenly matched too. Who knows how this one's gonna end? The next episode sees the back and forth between the two fighters continue, and it is amazing. During the exchange, Sendo manages to outsmart Ippo and lands a smash. He then hits him a couple more times, and it looks like Ippo is gonna fall over, until he gets back up and cracks Sendo right in the temple. But even though it was a clean hit, Sendo is still standing, and he proceeds to beat the brakes off Ippo. The crowd is so loud that the referee doesn't hear the bell for the round ending, so Ippo takes some extra punishment too. But despite all that, Ippo still wants to continue. He needs to win. So he gets up for the third round, but Sendo isn't getting up, and the referee waves the match over. What? Turns out, Sendo has been out cold ever since Ippo landed that punch, but his body was fighting because the crowd was cheering him on. Now though, he's completely done, and they're bringing the stretcher out, which means only one thing. Ippo is Japan's Rookie of the Year. Ippo can't believe it. He thought he was for sure gonna lose to Sendo, but even with a bad right hand, our boy pulled it off. Still, the fight doesn't have Sendo down too much. He's gonna bounce back, and we'll see him again soon. Meanwhile, Ippo gets interviewed about the fight, and after learning that Sendo is okay, he finally lets the victory sink in. We love a humble champion. Later, everyone celebrates Ippo's victory. While the chief and Takamura get into a fight, Ippo tells his mom about his win, and she congratulates him. Ippo's thinking about how much farther he can go, only to be whisked away by Takamura and the others for some shenanigans. I love them! Episode 35 opens with Ippo's high school graduation, and surprise surprise, Ippo's hella popular now. Heck, even his teachers support him being a boxer after his last match. After the ceremony, the delinquents, the nerds, and everyone in between wants a picture with Ippo. After posing for a bunch of pictures, Ippo is walking home with Umezawa, and they're straight up friends now. But Umezawa feels really guilty. He never apologized to Ippo for bullying him. Umezawa wants to apologize, but says he'll just be there for Ippo's next match instead. Damn, Umezawa's development has been very heartwarming. Anyway, that's when Ippo sees Miyata walking towards him. Miyata graduated from his high school too, and he's here to say goodbye to Ippo, because Miyata is heading to Thailand and Korea to check out their boxing scene and improve. Miyata is super impressed by Ippo, but doesn't plan on staying behind forever. He will be back for his revenge, and I can't wait for their rematch. The next day, a bunch of new applicants show up to Kamogawa gym, hoping to be boxers. So, Takamura and the others take them to do road work and see who's cut out for it. Unfortunately, only one guy makes it back to the gym, and he pukes all over Ippo's shirt. Ew. The wimpy-looking guy is Naomichi Yamada, and he joined the gym because he's a huge fan of Ippo. Some days later, all three of Aoki, Kimura, and Takamura are fighting. Ippo heads backstage to hype them up, and Yamada joins them. On his way back, Ippo runs into Fuji and Date Iji. Yeah, Ippo is face-to-face with the featherweight champion of Japan. Cool. In the following episode, Date shakes hands with Ippo, and it turns out he's a pretty chill dude. He's 28, so Takamura keeps calling him Chief. Anyway, Date tells Ippo he's pretty good, before asking Ippo to come over for sparring when his hand heals up. After that, all three of Kamogawa's boxers win their matches. It's a glorious day. Ippo is now officially ranked 10th in the featherweight division, and the Chief says he will definitely have a shot at the title soon. So Ippo goes home and wonders just how big the skill gap between him and Date really is. The next day, Ippo does his best to train Yamada, even though he's a clumsy guy that the others will not stop making fun of. Ippo's really sweet and strong. Kumi should definitely give him a chance. Anyway, Ippo's right hand has finally healed, and he's back to training. That's when the Chief tells Ippo that he's gonna spar with Date in 3 days, so he should do his best. Oh boy. Takamura joins Ippo for the trip, but ditches him for a date. So, Ippo's only support is Yamada, and they head over to Date's gym. There, after some greetings, the sparring session begins, and Ippo can see why Date is the champ. He's a beast. Still, Ippo manages to get his own rhythm going, and everyone is impressed. Date says Ippo is the perfect candidate to try out his new technique on. We then see Date's signature corkscrew punch, and he uses it to knock Ippo down. Wow! The next episode kicks off with Ippo getting back up, to everyone's surprise. So they start boxing again, and Ippo figures out how Date knocked him out. Basically, Date uses his corkscrew to hit Ippo's heart, a heartbreak shot. As a result, Ippo is paralyzed for a second, but Date uses that second to land a haymaker. Unfortunately, Date does it again, and Ippo is down a second time, but the kid gets back up. He's determined to learn as much as he can. 3 rounds end, and Ippo has taken a bit of a beating. Still, he thanks Date and leaves. Date himself has pretty bruised up arms from blocking Ippo's punches. This kid is something else. After the match, Yamada tells Ippo he's always being bullied, and doesn't know if he has what it takes to box. So Ippo tells Yamada his own story, and it really inspires the kid. He's going to do his best to become a boxer. You see that? Ippo is a role model now. The next day, Ippo tells everyone about the match, as well as the fact that Takamura ditched him. While the chief chases Takamura down, Yagi comes in with some news. The 5th ranked fighter in featherweight from Date's gym, Kigo Okita, has challenged Ippo to a fight on the same night Date is defending his title. There's only 1 month till the fight, so Yagi isn't too hot on accepting. But Ippo wants it, and he wants it bad. It's his ticket to fighting Date. So they accept, and Ippo gets to training. Meanwhile, Okita is hard at work too. After all, it's his ticket to fight Date as well. A month zooms by, and it's match day. Oh boy! The match begins, and the two boxers charge at each other, looking to take control of the pace. Ippo's power comes out on top, and he's in control, until Okita whips out a corkscrew punch. Turns out Okita has been successful by completely copying Date's style. Ippo is literally up against a Date clone. The next episode sees Ippo struggling with Okita's feints. He can't figure out Okita's rhythm. As a result, Ippo starts getting jabbed to death, and the damage is really showing. Ippo backs off, which makes Okita just come at him harder. Ippo eventually gets backed into the corner, and Okita throws a corkscrew, which Ippo just ducks under. This was Ippo's plan all along, and he replies with a huge uppercut. The momentum shifts, and now Ippo is laying the smackdown on Okita, and we know what happens when anyone eats those haymakers. Okita is knocked down. He manages to get up, but both fighters are hurting now. This is intense. The fight continues, and Ippo is piling on the pressure. He hits Okita with another huge shot, but the man manages to stay on his feet through sheer willpower. Okita then cooks up a plan, luring Ippo in for another corkscrew punch. Okita's timing and technique are perfect, but he's taken too much damage. His legs give out, and his face meets Ippo's fist, knocking him down. This time, Okita can't get up. So, after the most grueling round of his life, Ippo has won. After the match, Okita congratulates Ippo, who thanks Okita for the match. Okita apologizes to Date, saying he couldn't be like him, but Date knows why Okita lost. Okita wants to be like Date, but Ippo wants to surpass Date. That's why Ippo won. Boxing sure does teach you a lot about life. Ippo gives the reporters a short interview before heading to the stands to watch Date's match, but as soon as he gets there, Date makes quick work of the contender and defends his title. Now, everyone wants Date to give up the Japanese belt and go for the world title, but Date says he has some unfinished business in Japan first, and stares directly at Ippo. Ippo stares back. Their matchup is only a matter of time. The next episode sees us checking in with Miyata. He's in Thailand, and he just gave a local boxer an excellent fight. However, because of the home crowd and racism, the match is declared as a draw. Miyata's dad tries disputing it, but it's useless. Afterwards, Miyata gets an offer to fight Jimmy Sisfar, a young and dominant boxer with a kickboxing background. Miyata's dad says he won't take the fight, and that Miyata should move up to lightweight instead. But Miyata's not going anywhere. Ippo is still at featherweight, and Miyata needs to overcome him. But Miyata has a problem. While his counter punches are great, they're not KO material at the top level, and he needs to fix that. That's when his training partner and friend, Paelleo, introduces Miyata to Chana, his little brother. Chana is a huge Miyata fan, and wants to see Miyata throw his classic counter punches. This gave Miyata an idea. If his counter punch isn't good enough, he just needs to improve it. So Miyata works on his counter along with his grueling weight cut, and we're reminded just how hard it is to cut weight for pro boxers. One day it starts raining, so Chana brings Miyata an umbrella and tells Miyata how much he means to him. Aww. The next day, Miyata is getting kind of pieced up by Paelleo during training, but after the session, Paelleo is feeling the effects of Miyata's strikes. He's getting closer to the perfect counter. The day of the match arrives, and Miyata is feeling pretty nervous. He's the underdog. That's when he realizes Ippo has been the underdog in every match he's ever had, and he's still won. This gives Miyata confidence, and he gets his together. As Paelleo and Chana run to the arena, Miyata faces off with Jimmy Sisfar. This is gonna be good. Episode 40 starts with Chana and Paelleo making it to the arena, only to see Miyata getting cooked in the third round. Jimmy knocks him down, and it's looking bad. so Miyata gets up and decides to test out his new counter. He lures Jimmy in and goes for it, but misses, and eats Jimmy's right head on. Ow! With that, everyone thinks Miyata is down for the count. But Miyata knows he's not just fighting for his dream, he's fighting for his father's dream too. And so, Miyata gets back up with fire in his eyes. What a man! The round ends and Miyata is in bad shape. His ear is bleeding and he can't really hear well. His manager wants to throw in the towel, but Miyata's dad understands. After all, the counter Miyata is trying to pull off is the same punch that his dad tried to use, and it cost him his career. So, he puts his faith in his son and sends him out. Miyata continues to take punishment from Jimmy, waiting for the perfect opportunity. And when it comes, Miyata lands a skull-crushing counter, knocking Jimmy down. The impact is so bad that Jimmy can't even move, so his corner throws in the towel and Miyata has won. Oh god, that was a close one. As he walks out, the crowd starts cheering for Miyata. Maybe Thailand isn't so bad after all. After that, Chana calls out to Miyata and he just raises his hand and smiles. That's the first time he's smiled in like 30 episodes. With that, it's time for Miyata to leave Thailand. Before he leaves, Miyata tells Chana the secret to landing a counter is timing and heart. With that, he gets on a plane and heads off, with one guy on his mind: Ippo. The next episode starts with Aoki, Kimura, and Ippo learning they've entered into an A-class tournament. This is especially important for Ippo. If he wins, he'll have priority on challenging for the title. Meanwhile, the chief tells Yamada to apply for the certification exam. He's ready. Kid's come a long way himself. That's when a famous idol comes by to interview everyone at the gym. Everyone tells her about their goals, and Ippo does the same, telling her he wants to fight Date. One problem with that, the interview airs on national TV, so Ippo basically called Date out. Oh no. But before Ippo gets to Date, he's gonna have to get through another fighter. This red-haired stallion is number 3 in the featherweight division. His name is Alexander Volg Zangief. Yeah, that's not a Japanese name. He's a boxer from Russia. Volg was the amateur world champ, and he's looking to fight Date too. That's all for the future though. For now, Ippo joins Yamada as he takes the certification exam. The written exam goes fine, but Yamada is really nervous for the sparring session. Ippo gives him some confidence, but he's still a nervous klutz. As Yamada gets in the ring, some guys start making fun of him, and Ippo gets mad at them. But when he looks back into the ring, Yamada has scored a knockdown. Ippo goes to congratulate Yamada, while Takamura roughs these losers up for bad-mouthing his junior. I love him! The next day, Yamada gets his license, while Ippo, Aoki, and Kimura get their brackets for the tournament. Ippo is bound to face Volg, while Kimura has another problem. Mashiba has moved up to lightweight, which is Kimura's division. That's when Takamura walks in and says they should go on another training camp. So, Ippo asks mom for permission, and she agrees. Unfortunately, the next day at the gym, Ippo gets a call from the hospital. It's his mom. She collapsed. When he gets to the hospital, Ippo learns that she collapsed because she was overworked. Ippo feels guilty as hell. He's been so focused on himself that he thinks he's to blame for his mother's situation. It's a harsh reminder of the realities of life. Being a boxer isn't easy. The following episode sees Ippo take up running the fishing boat, and he sees just how much work his mom was doing every single day. Forget boxers, moms are the real heroes here. Because of the insane work schedule, while Ippo gets his road work and shadowboxing in, he can't get to the gym. His friends understand the reality. Ippo might have to quit boxing. After all, you have to make it big to survive off boxing alone, and he hasn't done that yet. Ippo thinks about his journey and why he started boxing. He isn't satisfied yet. He wants to know what it means to be strong. But after his mom gets out of the hospital, Ippo says he'll give up his dream if it means making sure his mom stays safe. Just reading that sentence broke my heart. The next day, Ippo gets a knock on his door, and wouldn't you know it, it's Umezawa. Umezawa is here to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Basically, Umezawa quit his job to become a mangaka, and he's writing a manga on Ippo. But if Ippo quits boxing, he won't have a manga to write. So Umezawa wants to join the fishing boat service to help Ippo become a boxer so that he can become a mangaka. It's a great plan, but 3 days in, Umezawa is exhausted by the amount of work he has to do. At the end of day 3, it looks like Umezawa is ready to give up, and Ippo accepts that, only to see Umezawa come back the next day. What a guy! With Umezawa helping out, Ippo doesn't have to quit boxing anymore, so Ippo's friends come back from the training camp to find Ippo hard at work. Takamura gives him a little welcome home sparring, and Ippo is so happy that he starts crying. He's finally back where he belongs. I'm definitely not crying with him, okay? The next episode starts with Ippo training, and the chief has seen enough. He's gonna take part in the A-class tournament even though he hasn't been sparring that much. His opponent is a dude named Seiki, and he's fast. We see this when Seiki has a sparring session with Date, and even Date can't land a hit on him. This guy is a speedster. Seiki is all about speed over style, and he's a pretty cool guy too. Anyway, Ippo knows he needs more speed and starts working on that. Meanwhile, Hiroko and Umezawa have gifts for Ippo: new boxing trunks and new shoes. Absolutely wholesome. Some time passes, and it's time for the weigh-ins. Ippo meets Seiki, who's looking forward to seeing Ippo's hard punches in action. Weirdo? But then again, what do you expect from someone who gets beat up for a living? The day of the fight comes, and Ippo is super nervous. But after a chat with Umezawa, Ippo's composure is back. He steps in the ring and immediately holds his ground as the fight begins. When Seiki comes closer, Ippo lashes out, delivering a nice body blow. Looks as good as ever, dude. That's when Seiki gets into gear, and we see why they call him the Speed Star. Because he's so fast, Ippo can't land a single hit. Even when Ippo gets him stuck in a corner, Seiki just bobs and weaves his way out of it. Uh-oh. The next episode sees Seiki pelting Ippo with flicker jabs of his own, and they do some serious damage. By the middle of the second round, Ippo's right eye is so swollen, he can't even open it anymore, and Seiki uses that to his advantage by jumping into Ippo's blind spot and attacking from there. Seiki does this for the rest of round 2, and in round 3 as well. Hell, the only reason Ippo doesn't get knocked out is because he accidentally leans on Seiki at the last second. But even though it was luck, Ippo learned something from it. Something that just might save his ass. Even though Ippo can't see Seiki, he felt where Seiki was in his blind spot. As a result, the next time Seiki goes there, Ippo throws a punch. He misses, and Seiki gives him hell for it, but Ippo doesn't give up that easy. So he waits for Seiki to go to his blind spot and throws a punch again, and this time he lands it right in Seiki's smug face. Ippo uses this momentum to knock Seiki down, but he gets back up quickly. Unfortunately for Seiki, while he didn't take physical damage, the psychological damage was huge. The next time they exchange punches, Seiki freezes up, and Ippo knocks him out cold. Our fish boy just won while he was practically blind. After the match, Seiki comes to ask Ippo how the hell he managed to beat him. After Ippo explains, Seiki just laughs. He accepts his defeat, congratulates Ippo, and leaves. Great guy! After that, Umezawa comes in, and Ippo shares a wholesome moment with his friend. It's beautiful stuff all around, for real! Episode 45 starts with Ippo going to the stands to watch Volg fight. He's really interested in this guy. Volg's opponent is a pretty experienced fighter, and it looks like the odds are stacked against him at the start, until Volg reveals that he's an infighter and absolutely demolishes his opponent. Hell, even Date couldn't beat this guy as fast as Volg did. But even after he wins, Ippo notices that Volg didn't smile. Something's off about that kid. Anyway, Kimura and Aoki win their matches, which makes it another successful day for Kamogawa Gym, and they go to celebrate. After a hearty round of Takamura's terrible karaoke singing, Yamada tells everyone he has to go home and heads out. That's when Takamura tells Ippo the truth. Yamada is moving away. Yamada didn't tell Ippo because he didn't want want to make a big fuss over it. Besides, Kamogawa Gym has changed Yamada's life. No matter where he goes now, he's going to be fine. The next day, Yamada heads to the gym to say his goodbyes, only to see that he has to spar all of his friends in a row. It's the Kamogawa style of saying goodbye. Takamura, Aoki, and Kimura all go head to head with Yamada, and they're all impressed with how much he's grown. Where there was a super wimpy kid, now there's a slightly wimpy man. Ippo gets in the ring last, and he schools Yamada with his quick moves before landing a sick liver punch. Afterwards, Yamada looks at all the bruises they gave him, and silently thanks them. The sun sets as Yamada waves Kamogawa Gym goodbye. He entered as a child, but left as a man. And that's what's beautiful about boxing. Episode 46 starts with Ippo training with Aoki and Kimura, who are really on the edge. While Ippo is already one match away from a title fight, Aoki and Kimura had to work 4 years to get here. And if they lose, no title shot for at least another year. So Ippo decides he's going to help his friends. He does that by mimicking both Aoki and Kimura's opponents, giving them good sparring sessions. And when the day of the match comes, both of them are super confident, but there's no such thing as a happy ending for everyone. Aoki loses his match to a fluke punch, and Kimura loses his match in the final round. The margins are slim at the top, and our boys didn't make the cut. Damn! After the match, Ippo and Takamura console Aoki and Kimura. Even though they're sad, the pair just smile at Ippo and tell him to do his best. They're counting on him. The next day, the chief goes to meet Volg's trainer and is disgusted by the disrespect that man shows Japanese boxing. So, he tells Ippo to start doing squats. It's gonna be the key to beating Volg. Ippo, being the psycho he is, decides regular squats aren't enough. He starts doing squats underwater. Aoki and Kimura decide to join him, only to get cooked by how difficult it is. After Ippo's training is done, the chief teaches him the new punch, a leaping left hook. And when Ippo does it for the first time, the power shocks everyone, including Ippo. Not the chief though, he knew that was gonna happen. The next episode starts with the chief telling Ippo that his new attack is called the Gazelle Punch, and it's really freaking awesome. However, Ippo needs a lot more training to master it, but Ippo feels like the chief is taking it too far this time. He feels overtrained. Luckily, the chief thought of this and sends Dr. Yamaguchi to give Ippo a massage to help recovery. With that, Ippo is back to his best and they start training again. The chief loves this kid. The next day, Ippo goes to watch Date's title defense, which he wins with no issues whatsoever. Badass! After the fight, Ippo runs into none other than Volg. Volg can't read Japanese and needs help buying a ticket to get him home. Ippo agrees to help, but before that, they have a little chit-chat. Basically, Volg is envious of how much Ippo loves boxing. Volg himself kinda hates it, so why is he a boxer? Well, Volg's mother is sick back in Russia, and he needs money to help her, so he plans to rise the ranks in Japanese boxing and make enough money to help her. Damn, that's noble as hell! Ippo is really moved, but says he doesn't plan on losing and runs off. Ippo does come back though. He needs to buy Volg that ticket. Match day is here, and both Date and Takamura are on commentary. They even bet on who's gonna win, with Date taking Volg while Takamura sticks with his boy, Chad. Anyway, the boxers get in the ring and Ippo is feeling the pressure. Volg hates that he has to fight someone as kind as Ippo, but it needs to be done for his mother's sake. The bell rings, and the match begins. The next episode starts with Ippo losing the mental battle. He gets intimidated by Volg. As a result, he loses ground and starts getting beaten up. It takes a good minute of ass-whooping before Ippo gets into his rhythm and starts hitting back. The fight then turns into a slogfest, with both boxers exchanging massive punches back and forth. The round ends and the crowd are on their feet. This is what they came to see. That was epic. The next round has more back and forth, with Volg slowly taking the lead, but that all changes when Ippo dodges Volg's left and delivers a gazelle punch. Volg manages to take the edge off the blow, but it still knocks him down. So, after he gets up, Ippo goes in for the kill, and even tries using the gazelle punch again, but Volg blocks it. He's not gonna go down that easily. Oh boy. Volg then launches a deadly combo and caps it off with his own special move, the White Fang. Basically, he punches from below and above, like a wolf biting down. Fitting, since Volg means wolf in Russian. Ippo crumbles over and falls. This is bad. He manages to get up, and if not for the bell, Volg was about to finish him off. Even the chief is stumped. He has no advice to give Ippo, so he just tells Ippo to do his best, because sometimes that's all you can do. The next episode starts with Volg scoring 2 back-to-back knockdowns on Ippo, and things are looking rough. So Ippo reverts back to the chief's training, and wouldn't you know it, his punches start hitting Volg. Ippo is starting to do physical and mental damage now. The chief is one hell of a trainer. The 4th round has Ippo hanging on for dear life as Volg backs him down into a corner again. Yagi wants to throw in the towel, but the chief is waiting for something, and that something shows up as Volg misses a punch. He's out of stamina. With that, Ippo starts swinging, landing some great shots. That was an insanely risky tactic, but it is paying off. Ippo is now the one backing Volg into a corner and throws a gazelle punch, but Volg is ready for it. So Ippo adjusts. Instead of hitting his face, Ippo hits his body. I guess that's a body gazelle punch then. Episode 50 starts with Ippo taking advantage of his brilliant gazelle punch, and he starts tearing into Volg, who hits the ground. Anyone else would have stayed down, but Volg is different. He gets back up and survives the round. Both coaches now give their fighters the same advice. Just do your best. The 2 in-fighters get in each other's faces for one last test of endurance and start swinging. But when it comes to endurance, no one can beat Ippo. Using the last of his strength, Ippo lands a gazelle punch. Volg decides he loves boxing before passing out in the referee's arms. Ippo wins. But can you win a match without giving me a heart attack for once? After the match, Volg walks over to Ippo and congratulates him on the win. Ironically, Ippo is the one who has to leave the ring in a stretcher. Meanwhile, Date dips and he has a nervous smile on his face. He can't wait to fight Ippo. 3 days later, Hiroko is looking after Ippo in the hospital when Volg comes in to visit. Hiroko's kindness reminds Volg of his own mom, and they talk about Ippo. Volg has been scared to tell his mom he lost, but Hiroko makes him realize that moms don't care whether their sons win or lose. All they care about is if their sons are working hard, and Volg decides to write his mom a letter and tell her he's working his absolute hardest. Not gonna lie, that kinda hits home. In the next episode, Ippo wakes up to see Aoki, Kimura, and Takamura here to see him. Well, they're supposed to be there to see him, but they're more invested in checking out his cute nurse. Jackasses. What's more, they're setting up a group date situation with the nurses, and they need Ippo to come along too. After all, he's got hella cash after his tournament win. These guys are the worst sometimes. Meanwhile, Ippo sees an old face. It's Kumi. She's working as a nurse in the hospital. After some catching up, they go their separate ways. But luck is with Ippo tonight because she joins them on the group date. One intense bowling match later, and everyone is walking a different girl home. Ippo naturally walks Kumi home, and she invites him in for coffee, despite the fact her brother has Ippo's picture nailed to the wall as motivation. They're having a good time until Mashiba comes home and scares the out of Ippo. Ippo leaves, but Mashiba follows Ippo and tells him to do his best in his title match. Not because Mashiba wants Ippo to win or anything, but because he wants to be the one to take Ippo down. What a sicko! The next day, the chief tells Takamura and Ippo when they'll be fighting next. Takamura defends his belt in January, while Ippo will challenge Date in mid-February. Ippo's really gonna go for it. Episode 52 is just a recap episode where Date thinks over Ippo's journey over the last year, and Date says he will not lose to him. We'll see about that. The next episode starts with Date hard at work, while Ippo is doing some research. Turns out, Date fought for the world title 6 years ago, but lost badly and retired. Why? Well, hear it from Date himself. Turns out, Date's wife Aiko was pregnant with his kid while he was in Mexico for his title fight. Date promised to win, but was thoroughly outclassed. So, Date made his way back to Japan, only to receive some tragic news. Aoki had overworked herself and she fell down the stairs. The doctors managed to rescue her, but their child was lost. And they didn't tell Date because Aoki asked them not to. After that, Date retired. Damn, that's tough. After that, Date got a normal job. He and Aiko had another kid named Yuji, and everything was going well for him. But something was off. Date would have nightmares about losing the world title match, and it kept him up at night. His frustration eventually boiled over, and he started breaking his old boxing trophies. That's when Aiko told him the truth. Sure, Date had been working hard to provide for his family, but in reality, the real Date never came back home from Mexico. Damn! Aiko encourages Date to not give up on his dream. Yuji deserves to see what his father is really like. So, Date quit his job and started training again. He took back the Japanese title and has his eyes set on that world title once again. What a freaking story. Date is a real champion if I've ever seen one. In the present day, Date is watching Ippo's tape and he's studying his opponent. Meanwhile, Takamura misses weight for his title match, but only by a bit. So, Ippo accompanies him to the sauna so he can lose some weight. While there, Takamura starts yapping about champions having a special power in their fists. Takamura ends up passing out, but manages to make weight. Whew! The next day, Date comes to encourage Takamura before telling Ippo something strange. Date says Ippo's fists are light and that Ippo won't beat him. Ippo, the hardest puncher in featherweight, has light fists? Gimme a break. The next episode sees Takamura defending his championship belt, but the harsh weight cut is showing. Takamura gets his ass beat in the first round. The second round is more of the same, but the cheering of Takamura's friends makes him lock in, and he pummels the challenger in seconds. Ippo hopes Takamura is going to give some insight on the whole special fists thing, but Takamura gets sidetracked and starts arguing with the crowd. Welp! After the fight, Ippo asks Takamura what Date meant by him having light fists. So Takamura explains. Basically, a champion carries a lot of burden. The burden of expectations on his family, his coaches, the people that look up to him. And because all those expectations and dreams lie with a champion's fists, they're heavy. Oh, okay, I take it back. Ippo goes home to think about this when he gets a call from Kumi. Turns out Mashiba won the junior light belt, and she's throwing a party. One problem, Mashiba has no friends. Shocker. So, she invites Ippo. Ippo heads over, and despite being terrified of Mashiba, asks him what he thinks about being a champion. But Mashiba doesn't give a rat's ass, and Ippo decides all he can do is try his best and see what happens. Real? The next day, Ippo gets to training, with the main focus being on stopping Date's heart attack shot. And as Fuji watches him, he knows they're in for one hell of a match. Episode 55 starts with Ippo getting free from training and heading home to relax. Ippo uses this day to reflect on his journey. He's come a long way from being a bullied kid. After passing the weigh-ins, Ippo goes home and chills. Before getting up, it's time to fight the strongest man in Japan. Damn! Ippo's classmates and even his teacher are all there to cheer him on, and after some final backstage encouragement, he steps into the ring. Date does the same, and the bell rings. Here we go, baby! The match starts, and for once, Ippo doesn't start the match getting his ass beat. Instead, he takes the fight to Date and lands some good shots. Date returns the favor with some hammers of his own, but Ippo refuses to back down and stays up close. The two exchange devastating punches in close range until the round ends, and it's epic. In round 3, Ippo shows how good he's gotten. He pressures Date into a corner before using a feint to land a cracking right hook. Ippo follows up with 2 more big shots and he clearly wins the round. But there's a problem. Ippo says his punches are doing no damage. How is that even possible? The next episode shows us how. While Ippo's body blows are doing damage, every punch he throws at Date's face is useless. And that's because Date swings his neck with the direction of the punch, taking away the sting. That's genius. Date then starts raining punches and the bell saves Ippo. You see, even though he's smothering them, Ippo's punches are hurting Date. How could they not? But Date refuses to show that, and it's messing with Ippo's head. In the next round, Ippo uses his smarts to get a perfect combo of a liver punch and a gazelle punch, thinking he's got Date, only for the champ to stay on his feet. Again, Date took serious damage, but because he refuses to show it, Ippo is now terrified of Date, who is just pummeling him against the ropes. This is bad. Fortunately for Ippo, all the damage means Date can't go for the heart attack shot, but Ippo doesn't realize that. He's too scared to fight back. As a result, Ippo, his face all swollen up, suffers such a horrifying beating that it makes you want to cover your eyes and ask, why am I even watching this? The next episode starts with Date going in for the kill. Ippo is just about ready to give up, but before he does that, he decides to try out everything he's learned so far. So, Ippo steps in and gives Date a disgusting uppercut. The champ can't move his legs anymore, but manages to dodge Ippo's follow-up as the round ends. Both fighters are seriously hurt, and Date is all fired up. He's going for the KO. Ippo, meanwhile, is barely conscious, but even in this state, he follows the chief's instructions to a T. This kid is the perfect student. Still, the chief knows that Ippo is at his limit, and looks about ready to call it quits if it comes to that. Ippo starts moving forward, exchanging blows with Date. He gets up close and leans on the champ before blasting him with body blows. Date returns the favor, but Ippo hits way harder and pushes the champ back into the ropes. Date retreats, reeling from the damage, only for Ippo to fall over. The poor kid was leaning on Date because he couldn't stand up. And still, Ippo somehow managed to get back on his feet. Date just smirks. Ippo has gained his respect. Besides, Date can't move anymore. These body blows did a number on him. With that, Ippo starts throwing body blows again and backs Date into a corner. There, he goes for a liver punch, but the swing is too wide. And when you're up against the best, those kinds of mistakes are fatal. Date delivers the heart attack shot, and the chief throws in the towel as Ippo topples over. For the first time in his life, Makunouchi Ippo has lost a professional boxing match. The next episode starts with Ippo's team picking him up. The kid is still conscious. Date looks over at his most fierce challenger and extends his hand. Ippo gets up and shakes it. Pure class from both men. You just love to see it. Meanwhile, Sendo is really mad at Ippo for losing, and that's when he runs into Volg. This isn't a chance meeting either. Date is vacating the belt to challenge for the world title, so these two are gonna fight for the belt. Speaking of old friends at the fight, guess who was there too? Miyata. Meanwhile, Ippo is recuperating backstage, and he apologizes to everyone for letting them down. Seeing this, even Takamura, an absolute monster himself, tells Ippo he put up a good fight. That's how you know the kid earned respect. The next day, Ippo wakes up for road work, but Umezawa puts him right back to bed. The chief says the same when Ippo goes to the gym. He's not doing anything boxing related for 3 months. Damn! Ippo is bored out of his mind, and the reality of his loss hasn't quite set in yet. Luckily, Kumi calls Ippo and asks him out on a date. Even when he loses, this guy's winning! So Ippo and Kumi go to the amusement park, with Mashiba making sure his little sister is okay by spying on them. It's as sweet as it is terrifying. After the date, Ippo is really happy until he passes Korakuen Hall, and that's when it finally hits Ippo. He lost. Although everyone told Ippo he did his best, it's not enough for Ippo. He really wanted to win. The next episode starts with Ippo slowly drifting into depression. The loss is hitting him hard. He goes to the gym to see if anyone taped his fight, and Takamura says he did. So, Ippo goes to Takamura's place and watches the fight, and Ippo sees why he lost. It's not because Date was so much better at boxing than him. It was simply because Date wanted it more, and that really hurts Ippo, because Ippo thought no one loved boxing more than him. Ippo goes home and vents to his mom, who just smiles. Hiroko is so proud of the man Ippo has become, and tells him to box until he's satisfied. Goated mom for real! Some time passes, and it's match day. Volg versus Sendo for the Japanese featherweight title. Ippo gets ambushed by Sendo fans and is saved by none other than Miyata. They both sit down to watch the match together, and it's a cracker. Volg and Sendo are absolute monsters, tanking each other's best hits and still standing on their feet. After the first round, things are pretty even. That's when Volg bares his fangs and starts dominating Sendo. He beats the ever-living out of Sendo in the second round, and the beatdown continues until the 6th round, where Volg knocks Sendo down. Everyone thinks Sendo is cooked, but he just smiles. He saw something nobody else did. Episode 60 starts with Sendo realizing his punches are having an effect. He just needs to keep going. In the next round, Sendo goes all out and uses his smash to lay Volg out. No way he gets up from that. but Volk does get up from it. A wolf is not defeated that easily. With that, the two continue beating the living hell out of each other, round after round, and they make it to the final round. Before it begins, both boxers touch gloves, acknowledging each other's greatness. I freaking love boxing! After that, they start swinging. Sendo is losing by points, so he goes for the KO. In their exchange, Volk slips, and the referee calls it a knockdown? Seriously, what is it with the refs in Japan? Volk lays into Sendo for the rest of the round, and the match ends. The judges hand the W to Sendo, even though a lot of people, including Miyata, had Volk ahead. But hey, boxing can be so unpredictable sometimes. Still, Sendo is the champion of Japan. He kinda feels guilty though, and says he'll give Volk a rematch whenever he wants. But Volk just walks off. For Ippo though, this changes everything. His next goal is clear. He's coming for Sendo. The next day, Fuji calls Ippo to tell him Volk has been canned by his gym. He's heading back to Russia. So Ippo heads to the airport to say goodbye. Volk thanks Ippo for teaching him what it means to love boxing, and says he's gonna tell his juniors about Ippo. By the time they meet again, Volk wants Ippo to be the champion of not just Japan, but the world. He really believes in our fish boy. Volk gives his boxing gloves to Ippo as a gift, and holds back tears, saying goodbye. Ippo doesn't hold them back, and just cries. Seeing Volk leave, Ippo promises to never forget him.
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
The following episode sees Miyata scoring a dominant win in his comeback match in Japan, which Ippo sees live. He's like Miyata's biggest fan. After the match, Ippo meets Date, who's gonna be fighting the 5th ranked featherweight in the world soon. He tells Ippo to get off his ass like yesterday, otherwise Sendo and Miyata are gonna surpass him. Luckily for Ippo, Yagi has found international opponents for Aoki, Kimura, and Ippo, so the chief starts training Ippo again, with a different focus this time, his defense. Cue the training montage, and the chief is pushing Ippo like never before, with all sorts of crazy training drills. Unfortunately, the chief pushes himself too far as well and passes out. At the hospital, the chief says he regrets throwing in the towel against Date. He hasn't forgiven himself. Ippo says it's fine, he's going to focus on defense more, but the chief says the only reason he was making Ippo improve his defense was so Ippo could be even more aggressive. With that, Ippo heads off to continue his training, and with the chief's advice and a heart full of fire, Ippo starts training for his comeback fight against some Thai guy named Ponchai. We literally know nothing about him except that he's ranked 3rd in Thailand. The next episode shows us Ponchai, a really muscular dude who's clearly a great fighter. Ippo is worried as hell, but the chief tells him to relax. After the weigh-ins, Ippo gets some final training in, and it's match day. After Aoki and Kimura win their matches, it's Ippo's turn in the main event. Ippo expects a small turnout, only to see a jam-packed crowd cheering for him. They love him. Ippo starts the match on the back foot. What else is new? But he snaps back into place and piles the pressure on Ponchai. Ponchai is one tough bastard, and refuses to be knocked down. But after the first round ends, Ippo tells the chief he's getting a KO in the next round. Huh? Turns out, Ippo has a new move, the Dempsey Roll. Basically, he moves left to right super quickly, throwing big punches and dodging at the same time. It's an awesome technique, and way too much for Ponchai to handle. He gets knocked out cold. Not bad for a comeback win. After the fight, Sendo gets up from the crowd and makes his way to the ring. He grabs a mic and challenges Ippo to a fight. Ippo obviously accepts, and the crowd roars in approval. Sendo vs Ippo 2.0 is happening, but before that, Ippo just enjoys this win. He seriously missed winning. The following day, Kamogawa's finest go to visit Kimura, who's come down with a fever. After some shenanigans, and Ippo accidentally killing Kimura's fish, Ippo sees an old picture of Aoki and Kimura. He asks them about it, and it's backstory time. Turns out, these two have been friends since preschool. Aww! Unfortunately, they were delinquents in high school, picking fights with everyone. Aoki was way more into it than Kimura, who wanted something more. Eventually, Aoki's fighting habits led him to attack a guy from another school, and that guy was Takamura. Takamura just whooped Aoki's ass and left. Standard Takamura stuff. Meanwhile, some guys show up to Kimura's mom's flower shop and wreck the place, beating him up too. Talk about revenge, yeesh! After their friends abandon them and get expelled, it's up to Kimura and Aoki to avenge themselves. Unfortunately, it's a 2v57 and a bad matchup for anyone, and they get their asses beat until Takamura scares the bad guys away. He's also accompanied by baby Miyata. Isn't he cute? Anyway, Aoki then challenges Takamura to a rematch and Takamura agrees. After whooping Aoki and Kimura's butts, Takamura leaves, but the two delinquents now had a goal, challenging Takamura to a fight. The next episode continues the flashback. Aoki and Kimura track Takamura down to Kamogawa Gym and plan to take revenge, only to somehow end up getting recruited by the chief. That's just hilarious. Still, their goal is to punch Takamura in the face, and they start training to do just that. 4 months later, the guys can actually box now. They get in the ring with Takamura regularly, and regularly get beat. But this time, Kimura grazes Takamura's face. They've made some real progress. Takamura still beats their asses though. The next day, Chief tells them they're about ready to debut as boxers, and the pair agrees. So, they head to the arena for their matches. Kimura is up first, and he freezes. The moment is too big. That is, until Takamura embarrasses him. Kimura snaps out of it and scores a classic KO victory. Aoki does the same, and just like that, the former delinquents are pro boxers. Deep down, they both know they owe their success to Takamura, but they'll never thank him with words. Instead, they want to get good enough to punch him in the face. That's the ultimate thank you. We can all agree that a punch like that would be absolute cinema. Ippo is moved by the story, while Takamura just clowns the duo some more. But hey, all is well again because Kimura's fish is still alive. Episode 65 kicks off with Sendo defending his belt against Seiki, and it's a dominant performance. Shockingly, Sendo knocks him out in the first round. Sendo goes after the Chief and Yagi and begs them for a shot at Ippo. The Chief agrees, and Sendo departs with a threat that the Dempsey roll, Ippo's new ultimate jutsu, won't work on him. The next day, Ippo and the others get ready for another training camp, but instead of the beach, they're going to the mountains this time. There, they meet Ginpachi Nakota, an old friend of the Chief, and without further ado, the Chief sends everyone but Takamura out training with Shinoda, a kind-hearted trainer at Kamogawa who helps out the other fighters when the Chief is unavailable. After a long day of training and being chased by a bear, Ippo can't sleep at night. He's worried about the Dempsey roll, but the Chief assures Ippo that they're going to find a way to make it work. That's what this camp is about. So the next day, Ippo has to chop wood, while the others do their own training. Ippo can't quite get how to do it properly, so Nakota shows him, and he's really good at it. Turns out, Nakota is still in unbelievable shape. Nakota then tells Ippo his style is too rash. Nakota was the same, and he had to give up boxing because of it. That's when Nakota says Ippo needs to learn how to punch without punching, and Nakota can teach him. What does that even mean? The next episode starts with Nakota explaining it to everyone. Basically, if you throw a feint with killer intent, your opponent will react as if a real punch has been thrown. It's the technique Nakota used to beat the Chief back in the day. They have a record of 2-2-1 against each other. Takamura demonstrates how to do this to Ippo, and the Chief says he'll need a lot of training to learn that killer instinct, which is good, because Ippo kinda rocks at training. The hard training continues, and Ippo gets better day by day. At last, it's the day before camp ends, and everyone is kinda sad to leave. Takamura heads out to do some road work, only to be attacked by a bear. Backed up against the ropes, Takamura has no choice. He needs to fight the bear. And after getting tossed around, the son of a gun actually manages to knock the bear out. Is this guy even human? Takamura spares the bear's life, but has the scars to show that he did fight one. That's so badass. The next day, Nakota sees the Kamogawa Corps off as they leave, and he tells them to win no matter what. The next episode starts with Ippo getting a sparring request as soon as he gets back. The dude he's up against is Shigeta, a snazzy-looking southpaw fighter and Sendo's next opponent. Even though Ippo is tired, Shigeta cooks him for 3 rounds. Ippo just doesn't know how to fight against southpaws. Later that day, Sendo calls Ippo, asking about Takamura killing bears. After that, Ippo tells Sendo to look out for Shigeta, but Sendo doesn't care about that jazz. He's only focused on beating Ippo. Talk about obsessed, sheesh! The next day, Fuji comes to the gym with Imura Mari, a cocky female reporter who knows her boxing and knows it well. There, Fuji lets a secret slip. Takamura has a shot at the world title. Hearing this, Takamura locks in like never before. He won't say anything. He won't look at anyone. All he cares about is getting that title shot. The day of the match arrives and Ippo runs into Nakota. Nakota is carrying a large sack. He says it's for Takamura. What the hell is it? The next episode starts with Kimura putting on a clinic and defeating his opponent. Aoki wins too, though it's way messier than Kimura. Meanwhile, Ippo and Nakota are joined by Imura to watch Takamura's fight. Kumi sees them and she gets the wrong idea. Poor girl. Anyway, it's time for Takamura's fight and we see what Nakota brought with him. The skin of the bear he killed. Takamura wears it to the ring and the challenger is shook. Then, in the ultimate act of disrespect, Takamura knocks his challenger out with just his left hand. This guy is ready for the world stage. After the fight, Nakota stays around to help train the boxers, and the chief approves. Meanwhile, Kumi is having a jealousy problem with Imura, even though she's completely misread the situation. Anyway, the longer Nakota stays around, the less Kamogawa boxers want to train with the chief. Nakota even holds review meetings, which is something the chief never thought of. 20 days in and he feels like he's being outcasted from his own gym. The chief blames it on himself. He was too harsh on his students. But it turns out Nakota was just holding the meetings to make fun of the chief. The chief whoops his ass and Nakota apologizes before going back to the mountains. What a weirdo. The following episode sees Ippo and the chief travel to see Sendo fight against Shigeta. And, just like Ippo, Sendo is struggling against him. Shigeta's right jab is just too much. It disrupts Sendo's rhythm and it hurts like hell. Round 1 goes to Shigeta, and Sendo is confused as hell. That's when the chief tells Ippo why. Shigeta is a right-handed southpaw. Shigeta is basically throwing full-powered punches disguised as normal jabs right at Sendo's face. Sendo manages to get a good body shot in, but Shigeta cooks him in the second round too, before hitting a victory pose. That's insane disrespect. The third round starts out the same, and Shigeta tells Sendo that he and Ippo are pretty boring if this is all they've got. So Sendo shows Shigeta why he's the champ. He dashes in and floors Shigeta with one punch. Shigeta gets up, but Sendo introduces him to Whoop-Ass Town and takes him on a personal tour. He beats Shigeta senselessly, to the point where the chief is sure he'll never box again. Yeesh! After the match, Sendo announces his rematch with Ippo, who surprisingly has the respect of Sendo's home crowd. Wow! After the match, Ippo realizes he's sitting next to Sendo's grandmother, who tells Ippo to put the fear of God in that idiot. I love her already. Episode 70 starts with Ippo asking Kumi out on a date. Oh, finally! They go to the zoo, and after a fun day, which involves getting pissed on by a tiger, Ippo clears the whole Imura thing with Kumi. They're clearly really into each other, and Ippo makes Kumi a promise. She'll be the first person to get his autograph after he wins the title. Isn't that so sweet? Meanwhile, Imura heads to Sendo's grandmother for an interview. There, she learns that Sendo's mom passed away after giving birth to him, and his dad died a heroic death as a firefighter. Since then, Sendo's been protecting the weak using his strength. It's what's led him to boxing. That's when Sendo shows up and takes Imura to his gym. Sendo's coach reveals his training methods as Sendo knocks guys out in a sparring session. Despite all of that, Sendo still hasn't prepared a proper defense for Ippo's Dempsey role. He's just gonna fight him head on and see what happens. Damn! As risky as that might be, this guy has balls of steel. The next episode starts with Ippo being chased down for his autograph. He's turned into a star! Still, this kid is as focused as ever and is back at his training. It's the day of the weigh-ins, so Ippo heads over to the arena and meets Sendo. They both take off their shirts, and they're both absolutely ripped to shreds. As a wise man once said, they have side abs. After the weigh-ins, Sendo meets Ippo for a personal chat. There, Sendo says it's been too long since they met as boxers and he can't wait for the fight. Ippo agrees and they shake hands. Bad ass! Later that night, Ippo can't sleep, but it's not just nervousness, it's excitement. The next day, everyone shows up for the match. Umezawa, Nikota, Kumi, hell, even Mashiba is here. Probably to hate watch, but it still counts. Sendo is so excited for the match, he's shaking. He needs to fight now. Meanwhile, Ippo is warming up and seems a bit more composed. After some encouragement from everyone, Ippo heads out to the ring. As the two opponents stare off, the crowd roars, and you can feel the tension. This is gonna be a big one. With Miyata in the stands, the crowd watches as the bell rings. Sendo turns around only to see Ippo right in his face. Ippo immediately uses the Dempsey roll and starts pelting Sendo. The speed and power is too much. Ippo breaks through Sendo's guard, lands a clean hit on his face, and knocks him down. Whoa! The next episode starts with Sendo getting back to his feet. The champ doesn't go down that easy. Ippo corners him with another Dempsey roll and has him on the ropes, but hesitates. Sendo uses this as an opportunity to land a sick punch and gets right back in it. The rest of the round is a slugfest, both men just standing and throwing punches, seeing who'll fall. The round ends with both men on their feet, but that's not how this match is gonna end. The second round begins and it's more of the same. The two guys just swanging punches left and right. Unfortunately, Ippo has a disadvantage. See, Ippo is a natural featherweight, but Sendo is a bit bigger, and in the time since the weigh-in, he's rehydrated and is above the featherweight limit right now. Weird, but that's how combat sports work. As a result, he has a power advantage over Ippo, and it's starting to show. Sendo backs Ippo into a corner, unleashing terrifying punches. They're so intimidating that even Ippo is scared. He's scared of Sendo. Ippo manages to stay on his feet and is saved by the bell, but things are looking terrible. The chief tells Ippo to stay on the offense. Sendo will cook Ippo if he stays on the back foot, but when the round starts, Ippo stops dead in his tracks. He is genuinely terrified of the man in front of him. Yikes! The next episode starts in round 3, with Sendo backing Ippo into a corner, smashing him left and right. Ippo is ready to give up, until he remembers he hasn't tried everything yet. So Ippo uses it, a killer feint that stops Sendo from delivering the final blow. Ippo then remembers the hell he went through to get here, and all his fear is gone. He's now locked in. The next round starts with Sendo overpowering the exchange, so Ippo throws 2 punches at a time instead of 1. Ippo is backed into a corner again, and Sendo goes for the KO, only for Ippo to counter him with a devastating gazelle punch. Sendo gets back up, but he can barely move. Ippo goes in for the Dempsey roll, but stops. He can't move his legs either. The round ends, and both fighters are in bad shape. I'd be surprised if this makes it past the next round. The next episode starts with Sendo's coach remembering how he met Sendo as a delinquent that joined boxing so he could fight the strongest man in Japan. And now, Sendo is doing just that. Ippo makes Sendo bleed, but Sendo knocks Ippo down twice in a row. Ippo is not moving, and Sendo walks away with a victory pose. He thinks it's over, but Ippo refuses to go through the sadness of a loss again and gets back up. Everyone is shocked, most of all Sendo. There's fear in the champ's eyes. Sendo moves in, and Ippo switches to body shots. Ippo breaks Sendo's ribs, but the champ keeps swinging as the round ends. In the corner, Ippo asks the chief what it means to be strong. So, the chief tells him to go out there and beat Sendo. He'll find the answer for himself. Bars! Both trainers see their fighters at their absolute limit, but refuse to stop them. Nobody but Ippo and Sendo have the right to end this one. The next episode starts with both fighters still pummeling into each other. The round ends, but neither of them sits. They're too locked in. Hell, even I'm locked in right now. They start exchanging blows again, and Ippo goes in for the Dempsey roll, but Sendo blocks it and lands an uppercut, only for Ippo to hit his ribs at the same time. Sendo throws a smash, but Ippo dodges, and then Ippo does it. The liver punch, into a feint, into a gazelle punch, into a feint, into a Dempsey roll. The combo is just too destructive, too full of heart, too perfect. Sendo falls to the ground. Wow! The crowd is in shock as Ippo waits to see what happens. But Sendo is tougher than nails and gets back up. He makes sure to keep his eyes on Ippo before passing out. The match is over. Ippo is the featherweight champion of Japan. Let's freaking go! Ippo can't believe it, but Sendo comes over and congratulates him in a moment that just makes me want to cry. Sendo leaves the arena and the belt gets put around Ippo's waist. And that's when he realizes it. He's the new freaking champion. The match was so good that Mashiba leaves immediately. He's so fired up and he needs to train now. Miyata leaves too with a smile on his face. After the match, Ippo thanks the chief for everything and heads home. Meanwhile, Sendo's supporters tell him they still believe in him, and he promises to get back to the top. I believe in him too. And Hiroko comes back to her son, the shy little kid that always got picked on, sleeping next to the featherweight belt of Japan. Life is just crazy like that sometimes, ain't it? A few days later, Ippo meets the chief, who asks Ippo if he figured out what being strong meant. Ippo says he almost had it, but he didn't figure it out, so he's just gonna keep going until he does. Ippo then meets everyone else to celebrate his title win, while the chief just stares at his student. Their journey is only just beginning. One time skip later, the next episode sees Ippo defending his belt for the first time. It's a little touch and go, but Ippo wins and defends his title. Brilliant. Everything else is business as usual at the gym, with one highlight. Takamura is getting ready for his world title warm-up match. Anyway, the chief isn't satisfied with Ippo's progress yet. He needs to aim even higher. Speaking of aiming higher, Aoki and Takamura say it's time to take things to the next level with Kumi. I'd die alone before taking love advice from these clowns. Later, Kimura says he's going to spar with Miyata. That's cause Miyata is going to be challenging for the Oriental Pacific Boxing Federation title, or the OPBF title if you're lazy like me. As Ippo, who has a dog named Wanpo now, reflects on his journey with Miyata, Miyata is getting his ass handed to him by Kimura. Turns out, Miyata is still struggling with weight cutting, but he's determined to stay at featherweight until he beats Ippo. The guy Miyata is up against is called Arnie Gregory, a blonde white boy who hits like a truck. Arnie's manager is Mr. Sakaguchi, and he's a short, cocky, and evil bastard. He says Arnie's gonna whoop Miyata using something called the Bloody Cross. Sounds scary. Ippo and the others discuss the upcoming match with Fuji, and they all think Miyata will win, but they can't say for sure. Meanwhile, Miyata puts himself through hell to cut weight, and just barely makes it. Miyata then tells Sakaguchi to start looking for a new job. He's gonna beat Arnie. Classic Miyata. So, with Ippo and his friends in attendance, it's time for Miyata to challenge for a belt of his own. The next episode sees the match start, and Arnie comes out the gate swinging. A counter from Miyata earns the Blondie's respect, and he starts taking the fight seriously. Arnie starts chipping away at Miyata with his left jab, and it looks bad, but that's just cause Miyata was observing him. Now, having mastered Arnie's jab, Miyata begins sending devastating counters over and over again, right on Arnie's face. Arnie's frustrated, throws a haymaker, only for Miyata to land a sickening counter and knock the challenger down. Damn! Arnie gets up and is saved by the bell, or so we think. In reality, the entire first round was bait for Miyata, because when Miyata tries to throw a counter in the second round, he ends up knocked down. What the hell is happening here? Well, Takamura and Miyata Sr. tell us. While everyone thinks Miyata messed up the timing, he didn't. This is Arnie's Bloody Cross in action. Basically, Arnie uses his elbow to stop Miyata's counter, leaving him wide open for a beating. And Arnie gives him that beating, leaving Miyata a bloody mess. A bloody cross indeed. Takamura says Miyata is done for, but Miyata still gets back to his feet. He's not going down like this. He has the heart of a champion like always. The next episode sees Miyata get back to his feet and start exchanging punches with the champion. Miyata barely survives the round, and Takamura explains why Miyata did something so rash. He's mad. Reasonable crash out in my opinion though. In his corner, Arnie has gained massive respect for Miyata, despite Sakaguchi's trash talk. Meanwhile, Miyata gets some much needed advice from his dad about making sure that every punch he throws is alive. philosophical boxing nonsense, this show has a lot of it. Miyata heads out and starts exchanging punches with the champion. Arnie is shocked, as is everybody else, not just by Miyata's approach, but the fact that his punches still hurt. But Arnie uses his bloody cross as a feint and uses it to seriously damage Miyata. Ouch! But somehow, Miyata stays on his feet and is still swinging. Arnie is incredibly moved by Miyata, so much so that when Sakaguchi trash talks him again, Arnie fires him on the spot. How you like that, ya cocky tool? Meanwhile, Miyata has just enough in his tank for one more punch, and he thinks it'll be enough. That's some confidence. Miyata heads out and challenges Blondie Boy to a full-blown fist fight. The champion obliges and strikes Miyata with some vicious blows. Miyata throws a counter, and Blondie Boy tries to bloody cross it, but Miyata just powers through the block and lands a counter with his entire body weight behind it, knocking Arnie down again. The next episode starts with the crowd and Miyata holding their breath as Arnie gets back to his feet, only to fall down again. Miyata's done it. He's the OPBF champion. The crowd roars in approval as Miyata wears the belt and strikes a victory pose. Ippo is impressed and happy for Miyata, until his competitive side kicks in, and now he wants to face Miyata again. After the match, Miyata and his team are walking out when they see Arnie, so Miyata stays for a chat. Arnie asks Miyata how the hell he could stand after that beating he took, and Miyata tells him the truth, because he's stubborn. Arnie just laughs and gives Miyata his hat, then heads off. That's the ultimate sign of respect right there. The Japanese boxing scene is really heating up now. Not only did Takamura beat the second-ranked junior middleweight in the world and make himself a real contender, Date's match with the World Boxing Association champion Ricardo Martinez has been set. Ippo thinks back to his match with Date and is sure Date will win. One problem with that, Martinez has had 62 fights in his career, and in those fights, his record is 62 wins and 0 losses with 58 knockouts. Date has lost to him once before. This is gonna be spicy. And things are about to get even spicier because Martinez is coming to Japan for the match, and his sparring partner is going to be Ippo. Damn! Episode 80 starts with Ippo heading over to spar with Ricardo Martinez, and he's as nervous as he is excited. After getting to the gym, Ippo steps into the ring, and the sparring begins. Ippo makes the first move, and the champion is impressed by his speed, but that's where the gap in skill starts showing, because Martinez starts cooking Ippo with just his left jab. The difference here is Martinez's left jab has no tell, and that means Ippo can't react to it. This guy really is the best in the world. Ippo tries walking the champion down and using the Dempsey roll, only to get peppered with hella left jabs. In fact, Martinez is so dominant that he knocks Ippo out on his feet and ends the match to spare Ippo from looking bad. Damn, that's insane! Ippo thanks the champ for the spar and realizes how big the gap is between them. The next day, Ippo's being cooked by all the newspapers for getting beat up by Martinez, so Takamura tells them to go apologize to Date. Ippo, losing to Martinez, puts unnecessary pressure on the old guy. Ippo heads over to Date's gym to see him sparring Miyata. Miyata's a good opponent, since his lefts are similar to Martinez's lefts, but the skill gap is obvious. Just like Martinez with Ippo, Date cooks Miyata and then spares him after almost knocking him out. Yeesh, Unk still got it! After that, Miyata and Ippo talk about their spars. Sure, they've come a long way, but they have a much longer way to go. The next episode starts with Date and Martinez's press conference, and it is intense. There's no love lost between them, and they barely manage to shake hands without killing each other. The next day, Ippo and Takamura join Date for his road work. There, Date explains that Martinez is too good for any sort of game plan to work against him. In other words, Date's just gonna have to be stronger. Sure, the chief is nervous, but Date believes in himself. He's been chasing Martinez for 7 years, and his chance at redemption is finally here. You can tell how bad Date wants this. Later that day, Date is talking to his wife Aiko, and it's a real tearjerker. Date says he finally has a chance to come home for real. The last time he fought Martinez, Date lost everything, but now he has a chance to take everything back, and he's ready for it. The next day, Ippo and his friends make it to the arena for Date's match. Ippo heads backstage to buck Date up, but he doesn't need it. Date just says he'll be waiting for Ippo on top of the world. Bad badass. The two boxers make it to the ring, and the tension is palpable. It's the greatest Japanese boxer alive versus one of the greatest boxers of all time. Date knows all the answers he's looking for are in the ring today. He just needs to find them. The match starts, and Date wastes no time going on the offensive, landing a sick left. Great start for the challenger. The next episode starts with Date piling on the pressure, making sure Martinez doesn't get into his rhythm. Martinez does get out from the ropes though, and the rest of the round is spent exchanging lefts. The bell rings and Date wins the first round. But now everyone is nervous because Martinez knocked out Date in 2 rounds the last time they fought, and it's time for the second round. Date comes out swinging, but Martinez pressures him into a corner, not giving Date any space for an escape. Oh God! Date tries punching his way out, but walks into a crushing body blow. Martinez expects him to go down, but Date refuses. He is not going down tonight. The round ends, and suddenly Martinez is filled with fire too. He comes out swinging in the next round and really puts the hurt on Date, but Date keeps punching back, no matter how much punishment he takes. This keeps going for 5 more rounds. Before the 9th round, Date has a disfigured face and broken ribs, but he's still smiling. He's hellbent on taking the world title. What is this old guy thinking? Well, Date still has his ace, his heartbreak shot. He's been punching Martinez in the face the entire match, just so we can set it up perfectly. The 9th round sees Date finally making his move. He feints for a head punch before landing the heartbreak shot. Did it work though? We'll find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball. Wait, hold on. Well, no. The next episode shows us that Martinez blocked the punch with his elbow, shattering Date's right fist. He then tears the challenger apart, and Date is saved by the bell. In his corner, Date is ready to give up. He has a broken jaw, a broken fist, and a couple broken ribs. He's in big trouble. But Aiko shows up ringside and tells him to just keep going. 3 more rounds to go. Martinez heads into the 10th round confident. Date can't use his right hand. That confidence is shattered when Date swings and connects a dastardly right, shocking everyone. Martinez is stunned. How the hell is Date still going? Well, it's a simple answer. Date wants to make his wife super proud. I could cry! With that, Date locks and loads the heartbreak shot and lands it for real this time. He sends the follow-up with victory assured, only for Martinez to dodge it. How? Turns out his timing was perfect, but he didn't have the power to land the heart attack shot. Still, Martinez acknowledges Date as the boxer he respects the most before putting the old guy out of his misery. The match is over, and Date is carried out on a stretcher to the applause of the entire arena. Damn, this guy's a warrior for real. The next day, Kamogawa Gym is taking Date's loss pretty hard, and no one is taking it harder than Ippo. Poor guy just saw his hero get dominated. That's gotta hurt. While everyone is lamenting, Fuji shows up and tells them Date is awake now. Takamura says Ippo should go see him, so that's what Ippo does. There, Aiko is crying tears of joy. Date's finally back home from Mexico. Beautiful. Ippo then shows up and Date touches his hand, saying he's passing the baton to Ippo. Yuji asks Ippo to avenge his dad, but Ippo says Martinez is too strong. He can't beat him yet. Emphasis on yet. The next episode starts with Ippo realizing he can't replace Date as Japan's boxing icon yet. He needs to work harder. So he gets to it. That's when a new guy shows up to the gym. His name is Itagaki Manabo, and he's a red-headed featherweight who idolizes Ippo. The Kamogawa Corps decides to test his road work, and it turns out that Itagaki is the real deal. When they get back, Ippo sees the tape for his next opponent, some guy called Hammer Nao. But it turns out, even though he's shaved his head, this dude Hammer Nao is actually Yamada? What the hell? Turns out, Yamada has dropped 4 weight classes just so he can fight Ippo. But why would he do that? From the tape, it's clear he's no match for Ippo's skill, but the chief says this is a test of Ippo's character. Can he do whatever it takes to defend his belt, even if that means beating someone he cares about? Damn! Meanwhile, we see Yamada training in the same gym as Jason Ozuma from way back when, and even his coach hates the idea of challenging Ippo. But the look on Yamada's face says it all. He's determined to win no matter what. Meanwhile, Ippo is too rattled by the thought of hitting his own student. He can't do it. That's when he meets Imura, who gives Ippo some info on Yamada. While Aoki and Kimura go to see Yamada sparring, they're impressed. Yamada has one hell of a body blow. They then try talking to Yamada, but he calls them a bunch of losers and tells them to get lost. He's coming for Ippo's belt. Episode 85 starts with Imura explaining how Yamada made it so far in such a short amount of time. Basically, Yamada is what we call cannon fodder, a boxer that is always expected to lose. But through grit and hard work, Yamada took on every fight he could and won them all, rising up the ranks immediately. Ippo is really torn. Is he gonna have to take down his old friend? But Ippo realizes that just like he looks up to Date and Miyata to push him ahead, Yamada also looks up to him. With that, Ippo is back to his old self. For now at least, but will he be able to hit Yamada for real? At the weigh-ins, Ippo tries being nice to Yamada, only for Yamada to say he's gonna take Ippo's belt. Surprisingly, Ippo responds with trash talk, saying he never taught Yamada how to take the belt. Oof, that's gotta hurt. With that, they head off. Ippo is fully determined to fight now. After all, he's not up against his buddy Yamada, he's up against Hammer Now. Before the match, Ippo collects his thoughts, while Yamada is himself. He's terrified of Ippo's punches, but Yamada's coach gets him fired up, and Yamada is ready to take on Ippo at his best. They don't say anything anymore, and they don't have to either. Tonight, the talking will be done with their fists. The following episode starts with Ippo immediately swinging and knocking down Yamada. He's wasting no time tonight. Yamada gets up, but Ippo keeps the assault coming. It's brutal. As Ippo knocks down Yamada again, everyone in the crowd is a little surprised that someone as nice as Ippo could be this mean to his own junior. But Takamura tells us what's really happening. Ippo just wants the match to end as soon as possible. He's desperate. So when Yamada gets back up, Ippo charges in looking for the finish. But Yamada has come too far to lose in the first round, so he starts spamming body blows. And the last 30 seconds of the round are a good old-fashioned slugfest. The chief tells Ippo to get his together, and our fish boy says he will. He actually doesn't. Instead, Yamada uses his hand to pry open Ippo's guard and pelt him with a solar plexus punch, which makes it near impossible for the opponent to breathe. It works. It instantly stops Ippo's breathing. Now, using your hand to open your opponent's guard is, how do I say this? Against the rules. But Yamada doesn't care and uses it to start battering Ippo. Like I said, every referee in this show is completely blind. Just when Ippo starts to regain his composure, Yamada tears open his guard and hits him with another body blow, sending the champ into the corner. Not bad for a junior, even if he's low-key cheating. The next episode sees Ippo backed into that corner, while Yamada is raining punches on him. It looks like Ippo is in trouble until he pushes Yamada back and challenges him to a straight-up slugfest. Yamada obliges and the crowd starts cheering as haymakers go back and forth. Yamada starts hitting Ippo with punches that have taken down 8 other boxers, but no matter what he does, Ippo refuses to go down. Ippo then turns the tables with a sickening body blow, knocking Yamada down in one punch. That's the champ right there. Yamada manages to get back on his feet, but he knows he can't win. Still, he wants to show Ippo how far he's come. Ippo respects Yamada's courage by not holding back. What follows is a brutal combo that leads to the referee stopping the match. Ippo has defended his belt successfully for the second time. As Yamada leaves, Ippo commends him on the mic, telling him to use this loss as a learning experience. What he doesn't know is that Yamada was already planning to retire after this match, win or lose. Anyway, the chief stops Ippo from going to see Yamada. As he puts it, the winner has nothing to say to the loser. Ow! Take a chill pill, chief! Meanwhile, Yamada was really moved by the match and Ippo's words after it, so he decides he's not going to retire. He has to keep boxing. After the match, Yamada sees Ippo and thinks about going up to him, but decides against it. After all, they talked a bunch in the ring already. The next episode starts with Takamura, Itagaki, and Kimura showing up to Ippo's house. They're going on training camp, and since Ippo can't join them, they're taking Wanpo. Damn! Lucky for Ippo, Aoki shows up with his girlfriend Tomiko and Kumi. They're going to the beach. Unfortunately, it happens to be the same beach Takamura and the others are having a training camp at. Some shenanigans follow, and even Nakota is there. Later that night, Ippo is walking with Kumi and decides he's going to confess his feelings to her. After having some drinks, Ippo musters up the courage to confess to Kumi. Unfortunately, he takes too long and Kumi falls asleep. Still, he's happy he said it. Now, he just has to say it to her face. The next episode starts with Itagaki asking Ippo for a sparring session, and Ippo agrees. Itagaki is a fast boxer, a lot like Miyata, but he's up against the Japanese champion, and he learns that the gap is huge as Ippo knocks him down before knocking him out cold. Later that night, everyone gathers under the fireworks. Nakota says boxers are like fireworks. They burn brightly, but only for a short while. But Takamura disagrees. To him, they're like the stars above them, and they're gonna burn brightly forever. The wholesome moment is cut short when some fireworks set off and they have to run away from them. Sometime later, Ippo is training when someone shows up for sparring. His name is Imai Kyosuke, and he's a huge fan of Ippo. Not only that, but when they get in the ring, Ippo realizes this guy is tough. They spar for 3 rounds and Ippo doesn't knock him out. That's crazy! Itagaki and the others come back, and that's when we see that Itagaki and Imai know each other. Turns out Imai and Itagaki have fought a bunch of times before, and each time Imai has won. Itagaki wants to overcome him, so Kimura says he should aim to do it in the rookie tournament next year. Itagaki's goal is set. Later that night, Ippo gets what he thinks is good news. Takamura has a world title shot. Unfortunately, the title match is in December, while Takamura already has a match scheduled for October. It's a tactic by the champion Brian Hawk and his manager to make Takamura cut weight for months on end and catch him at his weakest. But the look in Takamura's eyes says it all. He's going after that belt no matter what. Episode 90 starts with Fuji showing up to the gym and giving Takamura the report on Brian Hawk. Basically, he's a cocky blonde bastard that hates training and doesn't respect his opponents. He doesn't even know Takamura's name. This infuriates Takamura. He's ready to put this man in his place. But before that, he has his match in October. Kimura is fighting that day too, and Itagaki is making his debut. It is a big day for the Kamogawa gym. Ippo has his next fight the same day as Takamura's world title match, so he starts getting ready as well. October comes by and Itagaki is fired up for his debut match as he steps into the ring. Itagaki starts his match pretty well, piecing up his opponent. Unfortunately, his opponent is desperate and he headbutts Itagaki. Itagaki tries complaining, but gets socked by a right and is knocked down. He gets back up, only for his opponent to smash him with an elbow and knock him down again, ending the match. That's it! I'm boycotting every referee in this show at this point. Just like that, Itagaki loses his debut and is booed out of the ring. He looks to Ippo for some consolation, but Ippo tells him the truth. Itagaki lost because he got distracted. This infuriates Itagaki, who just runs off. But Ippo knows the truth. The real reason Itagaki lost is because he just didn't have that dog in him. The truth hurts sometimes. Meanwhile, Kimura barely manages to sneak by with a decision win in his match, and it's time for Takamura's match. One problem with that: Takamura messed up his weight cut and is in bad shape. Even the crowd can see it. What's more, Takamura's opponent is the Filipino champ, and he's in perfect condition. Looks like a bad day at the office for Kamogawa Gym. The next episode starts with Takamura going on the offensive, hoping to land an early KO. One problem with that: his punches are too weak because of the weight cut. Still, Takamura goes on the offensive and wins the round on points. He does the same for the next 4 rounds, but is completely gassed in the 6th. That's when his opponent makes his move, jabbing Takamura to death as he closes in. He goes for the finish, but Takamura throws a counter at the same time. Unfortunately though, it was a weak counter, and Takamura took way more damage. With no other choice, Takamura does the unthinkable. He clinches his opponent. Takamura looks like he's cooked until he sees someone in the crowd. It's Brian Hawk. He's here and smiling at Takamura. This lights Takamura's fighting spirit on fire, and he starts trading blows with his opponent. Over and over, Takamura punches him until he's against the rope, delivering a KO so spectacular it sends the opponent out of the ring, right in front of Brian Hawk. Takamura then leaves without raising his hand. He'll raise it once he has the world title. As cool as ever! After the match, Takamura is being interviewed when Brian Hawk shows up. He pretends to be a nice guy at first, but then reveals why he's in Japan. Because he's really into Asian women. Brian Hawk's just like me for real. Episode 92 picks up from where we left off. Unfortunately, Brian Hawk's choice of words were less than respectful, and everyone is horrified. Takamura punches him despite all his friends holding him back, but Bryan Hawk just stops his punch before heading out. Now, Takamura is really pissed. The next day, Fuji brings Bryan Hawk's tapes to the gym. Ippo, Aoki, and Kimura watch them in horror. Bryan isn't a classy champ like Ricardo Martinez. He's a wild animal as a human and inside the ring. He's so strong that they're not even sure Takamura will beat him. Still, Ippo says they have to have faith in Takamura. After all, he's the reason they're all boxers. They decide to head to his home and cheer him up, only to find Takamura's sweet and gorgeous sister Kyoka and his kind and nerdy brother Wataru there. Turns out, Takamura is one of 4 siblings, and his family runs a multi-million-dollar company. However, Takamura got into a fight when some 20 people made fun of his big brother Suguru, and he beat them up. Ever since then, the family kicked him out. Takamura's been living on his own since high school. Damn, I never knew the big guy had it so rough. At that exact moment, Takamura is meeting with Suguru, who says he can come back to the family if he wins the world title. But Takamura has no plans to do that. He's on his own journey. Still, Suguru cheers him on and tells him to win the title. After that, he says Takamura can take charge of some businesses and settle down. But Suguru doesn't understand that boxing isn't just a sport for Takamura, it's his home, and he's not going to give up on it. The next episode starts with Takamura cutting weight for the title fight, and it's just as brutal as ever. Still, he has help from everyone. Kyoka, his friends, and the chief do all they can to help him. Even Itagaki comes back. During road work, the chief and Takamura have a wholesome moment together. The chief apologizes for not having the money or influence to let Takamura fight at his natural weight, and Takamura thanks the chief for saving his life. Takamura then promises to bring the world title to Kamogawa Gym. He owes the chief that much. Boxing is beautiful, isn't it? But as much as it is beautiful, it can be brutal too. Takamura has 5 more kilos to lose for the match, and he's already at his limit. Everyone around him can see it, and they're scared for his health. But Takamura doesn't give a damn. He keeps chipping away at his weight. He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep. All he does is train and cut weight. It's hell on earth. And even Takamura questions why he's doing it, because he needs to take down Bryan Hawk, who himself is just chilling with some Japanese baddies. Real classy, dude. The next episode starts with Takamura still going through his hellish weight cut. Somehow, through sheer willpower, he makes weight. Bryan Hawk insults him at the weigh-in, but Takamura keeps his cool. Later that night, Takamura is rehydrated for the press conference, and it's going smoothly. Hawk then makes a disgusting flirt at Imura, but Takamura still manages to keep his cool. When it's time for the photo, Hawk takes a slight jab at Takamura's face. Uh-oh. Takamura is mad, but someone is even angrier. The chief. He gets up in Hawk's face, saying he's done with the bastard disrespecting his fighter, and Hawk smacks the chief. How dare he? No one can believe their eyes, and Takamura has fully lost it. Hawk then goes on a disgusting ramble about being a degenerate, disrespecting all of Japan. By the end, the press doesn't care about the title anymore. They want Takamura to kill this piece of. The next day, Ippo heads to the arena and sees that Takamura is more nervous than he's ever been. He then makes a promise. Ippo will win his match by first round KO, so Takamura has to win his match too. Takamura agrees and they're both ready. Ippo's match starts and his opponent comes out swinging. The chief wants Ippo to take it slow, but Ippo promised Takamura a first round KO, so he immediately brings out the Dempsey roll and beats the ever-living out of his opponent, sending him crashing to the ground. Now that's what a real champion looks like. Episode 95 starts with the chief giving Ippo heat for being so rash. He could have been KO'd. Still, he won, and that's all that matters. After the match, Ippo heads backstage to find the champion from every Japanese division in Takamura's room. Not just them, but Date, Miyata, and Sendo are there too. After some small catch-up, Date tells Takamura why he's here. Bryan Hawk has disrespected all of Japan, and Takamura's the only one who can avenge them. Takamura accepts the responsibility, and the champs head out. After that, Takamura's friends and the chief buck him up, telling him he's gonna become the world champion. And Takamura agrees. After they leave, Takamura reflects on his journey so far. Boxing gave him a purpose, a release, and friends, who he can now call his family. It's no exaggeration to say boxing saved Takamura's life, and he's gonna pay it back. With that, Takamura makes a flashy walkout dressed as a hawk, and the crowd loves it. Brian Hawk also makes a flashy walkout, and the crowd hates it. Finally, Takamura is face to face with the world champion. Takamura continues his petty provocation before the match, but the chief controls Takamura. With that, the bell rings, as Bruce Buffer would say. In the following episode, the match starts, and after sizing each other up, the boxers move in. Takamura takes charge with a deadly jab and starts putting the punishment on Brian Hawk. It's going well until Hawk delivers a punch while leaning backwards. Turns out, Hawk's specialty is his unorthodox style of punches. Bro's moving like Steve from Tekken. The pressure is immense, and he starts putting damage on Takamura, but Mama ain't raised no with Takamura, and he starts powering out of the corner, putting the pressure back on Hawk. What a brawl this is! Unfortunately, Hawk's power and weird-ass street fighting style is too much. He pushes Takamura into the corner, and the Japanese champ is saved by the bell. Still, Takamura says he's gonna keep the same approach, hoping it'll work. Hawk acknowledges Takamura as his best ever opponent, but plans to finish it in this round. Hawk backs Takamura against the ropes and goes in for the kill, only to eat a thunderous jab. Takamura moves forward, and he still has one thing on his mind: the basics. Using footwork and his deadly jab, Takamura pins Hawk against the ropes. Takamura then goes in for the KO, only to receive a lightning-quick counter. And just like that, Takamura is knocked down. He gets back up, but the mental blow is bigger than the physical one. Brian Hawk is a monster. The next episode sees Takamura moving forward again using his footwork, but even though their speed is the same, Takamura just gets pelted with big blows. This time, Hawk knocks Takamura down for real. No! With the crowd cheering him on, Takamura manages to get back on his feet, but he's in bad shape. Hawk is feeling cocky as hell. Takamura's left can't hit him, so when Takamura's left eventually does, he's shocked. Takamura continues advancing, throwing picture-perfect lefts just like Chief taught him, and he knocks the world champion down. Hawk gets back up easily and the round ends. Takamura has his mojo back. In his corner, Takamura tells the chief he knows Hawk's weakness. Turns out, Hawk puts himself in a bad spot when he does those weird dodges, and Takamura uses it again in the third round to knock him down. Takamura has proven that the chief's boxing is good enough to knock down the world champ, and the chief is satisfied. So Takamura goes back to his own style, straight up brawling. He and Brian Hawk exchange devastating blows back and forth in an incredibly even round, but with the knockdown, Takamura is in the lead as the round ends. Now that the fight is gonna be a brawl fest, Brian Hawk's coach is sure that Takamura will lose. After all, Hawk grew up street fighting in the slums of Brooklyn. However, he underestimates Takamura's dog, because the Kamogawa gym leader proceeds to beat the out of the champ from Brooklyn. Sure, the champ gets some shots in, but he's overwhelmed by Takamura's strength and speed. The bell saves Hawk, and the crowd goes quiet in excitement. As the fifth round starts, Takamura raises both his hands to the crowd, declaring a KO is on its way, and the crowd loves it. I'm literally getting goosebumps. The next episode sees Takamura go all out for the KO in the fifth round, giving Hawk nothing but hell. But the champ manages to stay on his feet, and even after the ass whooping, he's still not out of commission. The fifth round ends with Takamura on top, but that's when disaster strikes. See, since Takamura cut so much weight, his stamina is affected. As a result, he only has enough gas for 5 rounds. He tried to finish it, but he couldn't, and now he's at the champ's mercy. Hawk laughs like a lunatic as he beats Takamura senseless before landing a vicious uppercut and knocking him down again. This is bad, this is bad, this is bad! Takamura gets up, but it's useless. Hawk just keeps assaulting him like a madman. Hawk's trainer knows his fighter is a savage, and he'll kill Takamura if he has the chance. But the chief refuses to throw in the towel. He needs to let Takamura see this one out. Takamura gets pummeled and is about to fall down when he sees a vision of the chief keeping him up. Miyata then comes over to Ippo and the others, telling them to cheer for their friend. If you're wondering why Miyata cares so much, remember, he's known Takamura longer than any of these guys. So yeah, he feels invested in his old buddy's success just like the others. So they all start cheering for Takamura, and the cheers work. Takamura bounces off the ropes from what should have been a surefire KO and lands a clean 1-2 combo that staggers the Brooklyn champ. The round ends, and Hawk looks pissed. The next episode starts with Hawk knocking Takamura out. Hear me out though. Unconscious, Takamura remembers everything he's had to go through because of Hawk, and he's pissed as well. As a result, his instincts take over, and he starts cooking Hawk. Takamura delivers swift blows to the liver and the head. Hawk realizes what's happening. Takamura's literally trying to kill him. Takamura knocks the champion down, and the crowd roars. That's when Takamura wakes up and realizes what's happened. Everyone in the stadium wants Brian Hawk to stay down and lose, but Takamura wants Brian to get his ass up. Why? Because Takamura can't remember how he knocked Hawk down, and he wants to do it again so he can remember the punch that got him the world title. What a warrior! Hawk gets up and is saved by the bell, but Takamura has put the fear of God in the champ. He's practically shaking in his boots. With no advice to give Takamura, the chief does what he can. He fixes Takamura's hairstyle. Hawk starts the 8th round swinging, but gets obliterated by Takamura's counters. But Hawk has one thing left, the same animalistic bounce back that Takamura had. He dodges Takamura's jab and is about to deliver a KO blow, but Takamura saw it coming. He weaves past it and delivers a sickening, and I mean sickening punch. Hawk crashes to the mat. And even his trainer has to admit Takamura is the best in the world.
You're goddamn right.
Brian Hawk still gets back to his feet, only to meet Takamura's devastating blows. The referee starts a standing count as Nakota, Sendo, Date, and the crowd counts with him, but Ippo and the others already know the result. They run to the ring as the referee reaches 10. He freaking did it! Takamura is the champion of the world! Episode 100 starts with Ippo and the others flooding Takamura. He's finally done it. The chief just hugs his champion and holds back tears. He is beyond proud. He puts the belt around Takamura, who gives a speech after the match, and says some disgusting, embarrassing himself and everyone else. Classic Takamura. Everyone starts booing him and shaking their heads, except Sendo, who just laughs. Asshole. Still, he's the champ, and no amount of lectures from the chief are gonna bring him down tonight. Hell, he even appears on live TV after the match. This guy is unreal. Some time passes, and Itagaki wins his next match pretty comfortably. Looks like the training paid off. Ippo then joins Itagaki for dinner at his home, only to discover something horrifying. Itagaki's entire family can't stop making terrible puns. Ippo looks like he'd rather fight Mashiba than deal with this. The next episode starts with Ippo giving an interview. The reporters ask him if he wants to fight anyone in particular, but he's just focused on his next match. Boring. After that, everyone finds out that Aoki has a shot at the title coming up. Ippo and Takamura have their defenses, and Itagaki has the rookie tournament, so they get to training. After training, Ippo runs into Miyata, who is mad. Turns out, Miyata's been sending challenges for Ippo ever since he won the OPBF title, but he's gotten no response. Ippo is just as shocked as Miyata. The chief never told him. Ippo runs back to the gym and demands an answer. The chief says Ippo isn't ready yet, so Ippo promises to do whatever it takes to be ready. What the chief doesn't tell him is that the Dempsey roll is gonna be useless against Miyata. The next day, Ippo decides he needs to evolve the Dempsey roll and starts working on it. This becomes super important when Ippo's next opponent publicly declares that he's gonna destroy the Dempsey roll. So Ippo takes his idea to the chief. The chief says he's on the right track, but they're gonna have to work much harder if they truly want to evolve the move. Turns out, the reason the chief is so scared to take the Miyata match is because the Dempsey roll is very susceptible to a counterpunch, and Miyata's all about that counter. So they're gonna work on it until that weakness is gone. Miyata knows this too, and he's looking forward to it. And so, the grind begins. The next episode shows us how Ippo's dad passed away. He was on a fishing trip and he died while saving the life of a friend. damn! Ippo was really young at the time, and it was hard for him to accept the truth, so he'd just sit at the port waiting for his dad to come back home. One day, Ippo comes back home soaking wet, holding something. His dad's hat! Hiroko hugged him, and from that moment, they decided to live on. With the help of his dad's friends, Hiroko got her boat license and they continued the family business. Ippo reflects on that, saying he'll keep going until he's as strong as his dad was. What a goal to chase after. We then get some info on Ippo's next opponent. His name is Iwao Shimabukuro, and like Ippo, he's a man of the sea. The day of the match comes, and after everyone's encouragement, he heads to the ring. The fight begins. Ippo opens with some nice jabs, but Shimabukuro backs him into a corner and starts swinging haymakers. Ippo decides to do the same, and they trade big blows as the first round ends. A match between two infighters is always so much fun! For the next 4 rounds, Ippo keeps piling the pressure on Shimabukuro, landing a lot of heavy blows. But Shimabukuro swings back in the 5th round, and that's when Ippo realizes it. He's out of breath. Turns out this was Shimabukuro's plan all along, to take Ippo underwater. The next episode starts with us finding out what that means. Basically, Shimabukuro's tactic was to exhaust Ippo's stamina and use his own inhuman stamina to win the match. And judging by the look on Ippo's face as he eats those body blows, it's working. The round ends and Ippo knows he only has one shot. He needs the Dempsey roll. So, Ippo does it in the 6th round, but Shimabukuro is a madman, and he trades blows with Ippo's Dempsey roll. Blow after blow they go back and forth until Ippo eats a big one and is hanging against the rope. Shimabukuro has defeated the Dempsey roll and is moving in for the kill. Oh no! Unfortunately for Shimabukuro, his stamina runs out too. So, the round ends with the two boxers just staring at each other. This is crazy! In the next round, Shimabukuro comes out all guns blazing, while Ippo throws what looks like weak punches. Shimabukuro sees this and goes in for the kill, only for Ippo to land a sick counter. Ippo starts the Dempsey roll again, and the two exchange hard-hitting punches. But this time, it's Shimabukuro who blinks first, and Ippo takes full advantage, sending him crashing down to the mat. Let's go! Shimabukuro tries getting up, but he can't. Ippo has defended his title for the 4th time. After the match, Shimabukuro congratulates Ippo and says he's quitting boxing. As Shimabukuro puts it, he's a man of the sea and he must return to it. But Ippo, he's a man of the ring and he belongs there. Beautiful. The next episode starts with a bit of a funny scene. Kumi, Itagaki's adorable little sister Nanako, and Imura all go visit Ippo after his match. Quite the ladies' man, is he not? While Ippo is out cold, they basically have a fight about who likes Ippo more, and it's hilarious. However, Hiroko walks in and we see the truth. No one can love the champ like his mom. Isn't that adorable? Also, Ippo likes Kumi. The other two have no shot whatsoever. Sometime later, Ippo heads to the gym, only to see that Aoki looks like a skeleton. He's stressed about his match and has lost too much weight. Anyway, after a discussion with the chief about the Dempsey roll and Miyata, Ippo is looking forward to his next match. He's excited for the future. Some time passes and Aoki ends up gaining too much weight. He gets back to normal and all his customers are rooting for him. But Aoki is really scared. It's his first ever title shot. That's when Kimura shows up on his motorbike and the two buddies take a ride. Just like old times. Kimura encourages Aoki and he's ready to take the belt. Meanwhile, we see Aoki's opponent Imai. Imai is, to put it bluntly, a psychopath. He's a boring champ who's abandoned everything in order to focus on boxing, and he hates Aoki and his unorthodox shenanigans style of boxing. The next day, Imai goes to the weigh-ins, hoping to not get mad at Aoki, only to walk in and see him completely naked. God damn it, Aoki. The next episode starts with Imai getting real mad at Aoki, so much so that he refuses to shake hands after the weigh-in. But while Imai doesn't recognize Aoki as a boxer, Aoki doesn't care. Aoki's worked his ass off and he's coming for the belt. After the weigh-ins, Ippo, Itagaki, and Kimura happen to see Imai talking to his ex, who he abandoned for boxing. Here, we see the contrast between challenger and champ. Whereas Imai treats his loved ones as a burden, Aoki's loved ones are his strength. We see this through how much he relies on Tomiko. The guy's a lover. The next day, Itagaki is fighting before Aoki's match, and he's getting pieced up. Why? Because he spent the day before the match eating junk food. God damn it, Itagaki! Hearing the crowd, Aoki gets nervous, so Tomiko hugs him. Imai sees this and is pissed. After that, Aoki meets Imai in the bathroom. There, Imai says he gave up on all his distractions, but Aoki says he'll show Imai how strong you can be when you have someone looking after you. Damn! With that, Aoki gets ready for the match, and after his friends tell him he can do it, Aoki makes his way to the ring. The two face off, and the match begins. The next episode starts with Aoki getting pieced up by Imai. This guy is a proper boxer, but Aoki sticks to his guns and lures Imai in for his signature frog punch. Imai dodges it, but the match is now on Aoki's shenanigan-fueled rhythm, until Aoki eats a devastating counter and gets knocked down. Ow! Aoki manages to get back up, but Imai believes he's close to a KO, so he starts going all out, only to realize it was a trap to make Imai use up his stamina. Aoki recovers his strength and decides he's bringing his secret weapon out in the next round, the look away. He literally looks away during the match, distracting Imai, then lands a frog punch. Genius! Only Aoki could come up with something that unhinged. The next episode starts with Imai realizing the difference in their power is because Aoki embraced his loved ones, while Imai cast his aside. Aoki goes for the look away again, but Imai sees his ex in the crowd, praying for him. With that, the two boxers start a slugfest. Their slugfest continues to the last round, and now it's down to the judges. The match is scored as a draw. So, even though Aoki didn't lose, he didn't win the title. Everyone is proud of him, but Aoki is feeling pretty down. Loser or draw, it's all the same. He didn't win the belt. Meanwhile, Imai reunited with his ex, apologizing for being a douchebag. Imai then sees Aoki and thanks him for opening his eyes. Aoki himself just goes back to Tomiko, hugs her, and cries. At least he has someone to rely on. The following episode sees Ippo watching Sendo's comeback. As you'd expect, it is a vicious KO in the first round. I freaking love Sendo. Ippo goes to meet Sendo backstage, where he also meets Ryuhei Sawamura. Sawamura is an arrogant, dark-haired, scary-looking boxer. He's third in the featherweight division and is a potential opponent for Ippo. Before leaving, Sawamura tells Ippo to not use the Dempsey roll, and Sendo tells him why. Sawamura is a master at counterpunching. Damn! Meanwhile, Takamura is about to defend his world title again and announces that he'll be moving up in weight after this fight. When the fight starts, Takamura tries Aoki's look-away tactic, only to get socked right in the face. Why the hell did he even try that? Of course, this is Takamura we're talking about. He just dodges the challenger's follow-ups and knocks him out cold with 2 punches. He then leaves the stadium without his world title belt. Classic Takamura. After the fight, the chief calls Ippo to his office. He wants Ippo to take the next step, but there's a problem. Nobody really fears him. The chief shows him 4 challengers for his next title, and says they have to finish every opponent in Japan before taking the next step. So, Ippo picks his next opponent, Sawamura. Ippo calls over all his friends to study his tape, and they are all horrified. Not only is he an incredible counterpuncher, Sawamura is a violent dude. He's lost 2 matches by disqualification, and in both, he really messed up his opponents. Imura and Fuji show up to tell Ippo that it's not just in the ring. Sawamura is a straight-up psychopath who picks fights wherever he goes. We see as much, with Sawamura beating up 2 poor guys for just existing. Sawamura then gets back to his gym, and he's itching to take on Ippo. The next episode sees Sawamura meeting with his old teacher. He was the one that introduced Sawamura to boxing, but where the teacher thought it'd give Sawamura an outlet, it instead turned an already troublesome kid into a monster. Meanwhile, Ippo wants to improve the Dempsey roll, and he needs Kimura and Itagaki's help. They're the only ones who can counter it, but when they try, both of them are too scared to attack the Dempsey roll, and without practice, they can't help Ippo. Lucky for them, the gym has 2 new members, Akamatsu Imasu and Kizakura Hiroshi. They're fans of Aoki and they're huge boxing nerds. With their notes, Itagaki figures out how to take on the Dempsey roll. One problem with that, he has a match coming up and he can't risk it. So, who's gonna spar with Ippo? Well, an old friend Volg is back in Japan! Ippo is over the moon to see him and invites Volg to his home. Turns out, Volg's mom passed away and he decided to get back to boxing. Volg wants to go to the US but has no contacts, so he asks Ippo for help. Ippo agrees to have the chief talk to someone for him. In the meantime, Volg can live with Ippo and Hiroko. I'm so happy to see Volg smiling! Meanwhile, Sawamura is looking as terrifying as ever in a sparring match. He even kicks his opponent, but Sawamura's coach doesn't stop him. In fact, he enables this monster. He makes me sick. This guy is the worst, honestly. We're on to episode 110, and it starts with Itagaki, Aoki, and Kimura coming to the conclusion that Volg is the best match to spar with Ippo and teach him how to overcome the Dempsey roll's weakness. So, they ask Volg to help Ippo. Volg is hesitant, but after seeing Sawamura's tapes, he knows he has to help Ippo. His friend is up against a monster. So, Volg starts training his ass off so he can help Ippo out. He even gets contracted with a US gym thanks to the chief and keeps up his training. Then, on the day of his departure, it's time. Ippo and Volg start sparring, but this isn't a sparring match. They're genuinely going at each other. As expected, Volg is having a hard time keeping up with Ippo after 3 rounds. But in the third, Volg unleashes his counterpunch to the Dempsey roll, knocking him out cold. Ippo can't get up before Volg leaves, so he just says goodbye. Volg then says goodbye to Ippo's mom, who he literally just calls Mom. He's adorable! Umezawa drops him off at the airport, and Volg is happy this time, because he knows he's going to meet Ippo again. Look, you got a professional Volg lover right here. Meanwhile, the chief knows a way to beat Sawamura, but refuses to tell Ippo because it's too dangerous. Meanwhile, Ippo is training hard, trying to figure out a way to win. Finally, he comes to a conclusion. If the rhythm of the Dempsey roll is too easy to read, all Ippo has to do is switch it up. One problem remains though, that hurts like hell. The next episode starts with Dr. Yamaguchi showing up to the gym. Turns out, Ippo has evolved the Dempsey roll, but the evolved version is too taxing on Ippo's hips and knees, so Dr. Yamaguchi says he can only do it twice this match. I hope those 2 times are enough. Meanwhile, Sawamura is on a weight cut and has basically lost his mind. He almost kills someone, but his teacher manages to stop him. They should really be vetting some of these boxers to separate the humans from whatever this guy is. The next day, Sawamura wants to fight Ippo at the weigh-ins, but the coaches manage to calm the situation down. Ippo is about to head out until he meets Sawamura's teacher. He begs Ippo to beat Sawamura. That might teach him some humanity. Unfortunately, Sawamura hears the whole conversation. Uh-oh. Later, Ippo goes to hang out with Kumi, and Mashiba is tagging along. Great. But things go from awkward to insane when Kumi accidentally stands in front of Sawamura's bike, and he punches her. This bastard! It only grazed her cheek, but Mashiba is ready to kill him for it. Ippo stops Mashiba though. Tomorrow, Sawamura is all his. Still, even with that added motivation, Ippo is super stressed about this match. The next day, Ippo is ready for the match, while Sawamura is ready for some bloodshed. And everyone is there to see it. Even Date, Sendo, and Miyata. This is gonna be a big one. Before the match even starts, Sawamura is up in Ippo's face. The bell rings and Sawamura immediately trips Ippo and tries punching him on the floor. Ippo dodges and now he's pissed. He starts swinging, dodging Sawamura's counters and landing devastating hits. The second round sees more of the same. Sawamura completely underestimates Ippo, and one overhand to the face later, Sawamura is on his ass. Let's go! He gets up, but Sawamura is hurting, so he uses more dirty tactics to buy himself time to recover. Every single ref from this show needs to go to jail. After recovering, Sawamura locks in and starts using his weapon, his lightning quick jab. He peppers Ippo at medium range, not letting him get close at all. The second round ends and Ippo knows he has to charge in, but that's what Sawamura wanted all along. Ippo's charge meets a devastating right counterpunch. Ippo manages to stay on his feet, but his legs are shaking. He's hurt. Oh boy! Ippo keeps going forward, that's all he knows. But in this case, it's a disadvantage. He eats another counterpunch. The bell saves him, and Ippo is in bad shape. Meanwhile, Sawamura isn't looking to end the match yet. He wants to torture Ippo. Yeesh. The following episode sees Ippo showing us why he's the real MVP, tanking Sawamura's jabs and mixing up feints with real punches before cornering the bastard with the Dempsey roll, only for Sawamura to unleash a sickening left counter. The punch hurt him, but Ippo can't lose to this piece of... The ass-whooping continues into rounds 5 and 6, where Sawamura even counters the Dempsey roll again, this time with his right. But Ippo is still standing. Turns out, Volk's counter prepared him for this. Sawamura gets frustrated, so he uses an elbow, gets a point deduction, and continues wailing on Ippo. With his back against the wall, Ippo pulls out another Dempsey roll. Sawamura swings a counter, only for Ippo to switch up his rhythm. Sawamura can't stop his motion, and it leaves him wide open. And Ippo lands a disgusting right on Sawamura's face. Let's go! The next episode starts with Sawamura's stupid face hitting the floor. Ippo has done it. He's evolved the Dempsey roll, but like Yamaguchi said, that hurts. Ippo is reeling from the pain, and Sawamura manages to get up. The lucky bastard is saved by the bell, and he's furious. Ippo, meanwhile, hears the crowd cheering for him and thinks of everyone who's helped him get here. He's not gonna let any of them down. Meanwhile, Sawamura knows he only has himself to rely on and refuses to lose. But as the next round takes place, Sawamura sees the monster he's up against, because Ippo uses his stop and start Dempsey roll multiple times until he catches Sawamura at the perfect angle. He then punches Sawamura's face till he looks like Solomon Grundy. Challenger falls like a chopped tree. Ippo just goes to the corner and raises his hands in victory. The crowd roars as the ref ends the match. Ippo's won. That almost gave me a heart attack. Sendo, Date, and Miyata are all super impressed. Ippo is the man. Sawamura gets cheered as he leaves the ring in a stretcher. Maybe he'll be less psychotic next time he fights. Meanwhile, Ippo falls as he leaves the ring. Those new Dempsey rolls weren't free. Later, Yamaguchi tells Ippo he injured his legs, but his strong muscles saved him from it being too serious. Ippo then revels in his victory. He's so happy, and he deserves it. Meanwhile, as Sendo goes and sees Sawamura, it looks like Ippo literally beat some sense into the bastard. And Ippo, well, he's chilling with Kumi. He's earned it. Episode 115 starts with Dr. Yamaguchi telling Ippo two things. 1, he needs to lay off training for a while to recover, and 2, he needs to stop using the Dempsey roll. It's either that or retire from boxing at 26. Yeesh. Meanwhile, Umezawa tells Ippo he's gonna quit the fishing business. He's focusing full-time on becoming a manga artist. He shows Ippo and his friends his manga, and they love it. Ippo and Hiroko fully support Umezawa's decision, even though he feels guilty about leaving. Umezawa then tries apologizing for bullying Ippo back in high school, but Hiroko and Ippo stop him. That is all in the past. He needs to focus on the future. As Umezawa leaves, Ippo yells his goodbye from the boat. He thanks Umezawa for being his first fan and says it's his turn to return the favor. Ippo then says no matter what happens, they'll always be best friends, making Umezawa, and me, ugly cry. The next day, Ippo goes to the gym to find out that all his challengers have pulled out. People finally respect him as a champ. Later, Ippo comes home to see that Nanako and Itagaki have replaced Umezawa as employees for the fishing boat. Looks like it all worked out. Itagaki starts working and realizes why Ippo is so strong. This fishing boat stuff is hard. Itagaki keeps at it though, and the results speak for themselves. He scores a second round KO in his next match. The next episode starts with Kamogawa Gym going fishing with Ippo. After some shenanigans that include Aoki getting reeled in, don't even ask, the chief breaks some news. Takamura is moving up from junior middleweight and he's challenging for the middleweight world title. Aoki and Kimura are fighting on that card, and so is Miyata. He'll be defending the OPBF title. To that end, Miyata Sr. has Miyata train with Takamura to give him a boost. And when Takamura mentions how hard Ippo trains, Miyata has all the motivation he needs. Takamura then says something crazy. He tells Miyata his counters are weak. To prove it, Takamura spars with him and puts him through the ringer. After knocking him out cold, Takamura explains Miyata's weakness and helps him correct it. He then tells Miyata he needs to work harder and run more if he truly wants to be the best. Why is he telling Miyata all this? Because Takamura cares about him, of course. He can be sweet in his own weird, unhinged way. Miyata Sr. thanks Takamura for helping Miyata, but wonders why he'd give Miyata advice that would help him beat Ippo. And Takamura says it's because he wants them both to be stronger. After all, they're gonna fight one day. They might as well do their best. Amen, brother! The next episode kicks off with Yagi telling Aoki and Kimura their opponents. Kimura is fighting the Filipino champion Aleki Battery, and Aoki is fighting the Indonesian champion Papaya. And yes, their names are just as ridiculous as their haircuts. Takamura says that if Aoki and Kimura lose, they'll have to get the same haircuts as them. That might be higher stakes than a championship belt. So, the two get to training. Meanwhile, Takamura may have moved up a weight class, but he still has to cut weight. The middleweight champ David Eagle is no joke, and Takamura needs to be on top of his game. But this is Takamura we're talking about. He's always on top of his game. Later that night, David Eagle arrives in Japan, and he's nothing like Brian Hawk. Ippo, the chief, and Yagi see this firsthand when they go to see David's public sparring match. He's out there all smiles, signing autographs for the kid, treating everyone with respect, and working his ass off. This guy is the perfect champion. In fact, compared to him, Takamura seems like the devil. Anyway, Ippo runs into Miyata, who says he's gonna evolve just like Ippo did. I can't wait for their fight! Meanwhile, David recalls meeting Brian Hawk after he lost to Takamura. Takamura turned Hawk into a little and David wants to face the man with the strength to do something like that. It makes me really happy that Brian Hawk is a loser now. The episode starts with Takamura and David's press conference, and Takamura is already in attack mode. He doesn't even shake hands with the champ. The day of the match rolls around, and Aoki and Kimura are really nervous for their match. But Ippo and Itagaki give them confidence, as does Takamura, before reminding them about the haircut bet and ruining everything. God damn it, Takamura! Anyway, Kimura goes out there to face Aoki and gets his ass handed to him for 7 straight rounds. It looks like he's gonna lose until he knocks Aoki down with a body blow. Turns out, Aoki over here is weak to body blows, and Kimura decides to use that to his advantage. Kimura starts pummeling Aoki and does enough to get a draw. Aoki is up next, and he discovers something horrifying. Papaya is the same kind of trickster fighter as he is. Papaya manages to play dead and lure Aoki in for a devastating right. Aoki gets up, but Papaya has shenanigans and hits like a truck. Even the look away doesn't work on this bastard. Aoki is struggling for 3 rounds, but in the 4th, he sees something strange. Papaya is sweating like a pig. Turns out, Papaya's stamina sucks, and Aoki starts using that to his advantage. Unfortunately, he can't get the KO, and after 10 rounds, it's declared as a draw too. With that, it's time for Miyata's title defense, and he's locked in. The next episode starts with us meeting Miyata's opponent, Medgen Dutchboy. He's a scary-looking Thai dude, but the bigger problem is his corner man. It's Sakaguchi. Looks like he's back for revenge. But something weird happens. The fight starts, and Medgen doesn't fight back. Miyata hits and hits and hits, but Medgen just keeps his guard up. Turns out, Medgen is poor as hell and has a sick daughter. Sakaguchi agreed to pay him if he would just take Miyata's hits. Why? Because Sakaguchi wants to study Miyata. Unfortunately for the short, evil bastard, Miyata challenges Medgen's fighting spirit, and he starts swinging. He wants to fight. Let's go! Unfortunately, that plays right into Miyata's hands. Miyata starts peppering Medgen with counters, and it's doing some serious damage. Even though his face is a bloody mess, Medgen still stands. Miyata respects this guy's drive and decides to end it with his new and improved counter. And that's exactly what he does with a vicious KO. But Medgen doesn't have to worry too much, because back home, his daughter is already feeling better. In the end, Miyata wins. Medgen congratulates Miyata, asking him not to lose to anyone, and Miyata doesn't plan to. Badass and wholesome. After the fight, the crowd recognizes Ippo and starts chanting for a match between them. But it's not time for that yet, as much as everyone wants it. Miyata Sr. just marvels at how far they've both come from their first sparring match. Right now though, it's time for the main event, and Takamura is ready. Episode 120 starts with Miyata telling Ippo something about Takamura. He thinks Takamura is having trouble seeing out of his right eye. They can't do anything about it for now, they just have to see what happens. The match begins and both boxers go on the offensive. Takamura wins the power struggle and starts pushing David back, but David shows why he's the champ and almost catches Takamura with a deadly counter. The round ends and Takamura feels a little uneasy. David is up to something. Takamura keeps his assault up in the second round, but not only is David not getting pushed back, he's landing counters. But David is throwing weak punches and it pisses Takamura off. So he goes for a big swing, and that's exactly what David was waiting for. He uses it to land a real counter, staggering Takamura. Takamura gets his bearings back and starts swinging heavy blows, putting the pressure back on him. It's a fight of instincts versus boxing prowess, and it's incredible. In the third, however, David executes his plan to perfection. He lands a counter and knocks Takamura down. Things ain't looking so good. Takamura gets up, but the rest of the round is more of the same. From the outside, it looks like David is chilling his way to victory, but in reality, blocking Takamura's punches are having a big effect on the champ, and he's scared relentless of getting hit. Meanwhile, Takamura says he has a plan, and it better be a good one. The next episode starts with Takamura's plan, and he's swinging wide to lure David in. Now, right on top of the champion, Takamura lands a devastating body blow and backs David into a corner, giving him all kinds of hell. The bell saves David, but as soon as the next round starts, David gets knocked down like a sack of potatoes. David gets back to his feet and manages to get a cut above Takamura's right eye. He starts bleeding, and Eagle has an advantage, but he doesn't go for it. Instead, he focuses on body blows. Honorable guy. The round ends and Takamura is mad that David wouldn't take advantage of his cut. Fortunately for him, an accidental collision in the next round puts a cut above David's eye too. And unlike David, Takamura uses it to his full advantage, and David does the same in the next round. The next episode starts with both boxers beating each other up, and they're both bleeding heavily. The doctors stop the match for a bit and are considering ending it, but Takamura and David rouse the crowd. They need to decide this with their fists. The round ends and the match continues. Both corners patch up their boxers, and this round is going to be a big one. David gets the upper hand with his jabs and makes Takamura's right eye swell up. With his left eye bleeding again, all Takamura can see is the canvas below him, but he uses David's foot to guess where he is and lands a huge right. He goes down with David, and both challenger and champ are knocked down. By the grace of God, they both get back up and the fight goes on. Takamura is still punching while looking at David's feet, but he gets pushed back. David is satisfied with the fight and goes for the finishing blow, only for Takamura to land a sick left counter. Unable to see, Takamura just aims for the Chief's mitts. He swings over and over and over again until the Chief stops him. Takamura doesn't realize what happened. He knocked David out, and he's the new middleweight champion of the world. 2 divisions, baby! The two fighters shake hands after a grueling match, and David isn't mad. He just lost to the stronger guy. With that, Takamura celebrates his victory and roars at the crowd, who roar right back. Incredible! After the match, Takamura hands his belts to the Chief. After all, he won them for him. Takamura heads out and is greeted by all his friends. Meanwhile, Yagi says the Chief is probably proud of Takamura as his trainer, but the Chief disagrees. He's proud of Takamura as a father. Oh, right in the mother effing feels! Unfortunately, Takamura is back to his shenanigans the next day, and the Chief beats him senseless. Never change, Takamura. The next episode starts with Nakota and the Chief dropping some lore on Aoki and Ippo. After World War II ended, Nakota and the Chief were part of the generation that literally rebuilt Japan. Back then, they were out of their primes as boxers, but still loved the sport. One day, a friend of Nakota and the Chief's lost to an American soldier. After winning, the Americans threw food and chocolates on the ground, and everyone rushed to pick them up. Not only did the American win, he was disrespecting Japan, and the Chief hated him for it. However, one lady wasn't picking up the sweets, and that's how Nakota and the Chief met Yuki, a beautiful girl with a real sense of Japanese pride. Unfortunately, that American soldier started chasing Yuki later that day. The Chief and Nakota stepped up to the bastard to save her and got their asses handed to them in brutal fashion. They did manage to save Yuki though, and she's eternally grateful to them. With no place for her to stay, the Chief invited her to stay at his place. Nakota, being Nakota, decided to move in with the Chief, and thus their friendship began. Yuki was kind, sweet, and full of life, and brought some much-needed sunshine to the two boxers' lives. Also, Yuki loved sunflowers, something to remember. Anyway, the living arrangement became a permanent thing, and the vibes were at an all-time high, until the two friends started getting jealous because they both liked Yuki. God damn it. The next episode starts with the old man lore continuing. It turns out that Yuki came from Hiroshima, and she was really sick. The Chief agreed to keep it a secret, but her days were numbered. Meanwhile, Nakota was going through his own problems. He took too many hits in his fights, and as a result, his nerves started to deteriorate. It wasn't just physical, it became a mental problem. He bought Yuki the same blouse 2 times just because he forgot. Still, Nakota did his best. He got a job, earned some money, and took Yuki on a tour of the city. That's cute! But when they saw the American monster beating on another Japanese, Nakota's face said it all. He wanted to fight the bastard. Meanwhile, a friend of the Chief's tried egging him to fight the American, but he refused. He had a happy life with Nakota and Yuki, and he was fine with that. Meanwhile, Nakota's condition kept getting worse. He was throwing up and having severe headaches, but he wouldn't go to a doctor, stubborn bastard. Back at the home, Yuki realized Nakota Nakota was getting worse, and Nakota knew Yuki was sick. Now, the chief tried setting up Yuki and Nakota, but Yuki had feelings for the chief. The chief was in love with her too, but he refused to act on it. He couldn't betray his best friend. Meanwhile, Nakota told Yuki he was gonna fight the American, and then he was gonna go back to his hometown, and he wanted Yuki to come with him. These unks had more romance drama than Riverdale! The next day, Nakota was struggling to stop his hands shaking before his fight. Meanwhile, Yuki told the chief what Nakota was up to, and they raced over to the arena to find Nakota unscathed, standing over a knocked down American bastard. What? Episode 125 starts with Nakota giving the all-American asshole the business, and the crowd is loving it. Under normal circumstances, Nakota would have won this fight, but not only was he suffering from his nerve damage, the American bastard landed an illegal shot to the back of his head. Nakota got up, only to meet a merciless beating. The chief jumped in to stop the fight, and the American won again. As the chief carried Nakota out, the American started trashing Japan and all of its people, so the chief challenged him to a match for the honor of all of Japan. Seeing his best friend in the hospital was all the motivation the chief needed. He started his training, running all day and punching a log until he hammered it into the ground with his fists. Doing that helped him develop a power punch that even a bigger guy would be afraid of. Before the match, Yuki said she'd stay by Nakota's side, and the chief agreed. With that, he stepped into the ring with the American and gave him a taste of his incredible destructive power. Meanwhile, Nakota got up and asked Yuki to take him to the chief. He needed to help his best friend, and his best friend needed that help because the chief was struggling against the American. 7 consecutive rounds of ass-whooping later, and the chief still refused to give up. The American was frustrated and wanted to end it, while the chief knew his only way out was through a KO. Lucky for him, help arrived. Nakota is here. The very last episode of Ippo starts with Nakota telling the chief to not be afraid of the American's right and to go for his body. So the chief tried it and realized that his body is wide open every time he swings a right. 2 tries in, the chief got rocked both times, but he could see the opening clearly. He had a chance. Meanwhile, the chief's resolve made the American respect him. He wanted to KO this honorable fighter. Unfortunately for the American, the chief tanked his right before delivering 2 rib-shattering body blows. And just like that, the fight was over. The chief won. We then find out that the chief was fighting with broken fists. That's how badly he wanted that win. Nakota and Yuki congratulated him, as did the American's cornerman. For that one brief moment, it felt like the chief was the most important man in Japan. Later, Nakota was heading back to the mountains and Yuki was going with him. Yuki would stay with the chief if he wanted, but the chief decided he was going to study boxing and train boxers. He did promise to come tell Yuki when one of his fighters conquers the world, and Yuki agrees. And just like that, the journey of the 3 friends together ended. There aren't enough tissues in the world to dry these tears. Back in the present, Aoki and Ippo are on the verge of tears. That was one hell of a story. Ippo says the chief should go to Yuki's grave since Takamura is the world champ, but the chief says Takamura would have done that even without his help. The chief needs a successor to inherit his fists. However, Nakota knows that Ippo has inherited the chief's fists, and it's only a matter of time before this kid conquers the world. And then, the chief can finally go put some sunflowers on Yuki's grave. And that was our recap of Hajime no Ippo. Honestly, it's a damn mystery why they stopped making episodes after this. Still, I'm holding out hope like every other fan that we'll get some news eventually. After all, if I've learned anything from Ippo, it's to have hope, even when the odds are stacked against you. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I need some motivation to get through one of those bad hair days, I always remember this series. Hajime no Ippo is such a wholesome story about having a dream, chasing it consistently, and seeing it to its fruition. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like and subscribe while you're at it. We've got more sports anime to come. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.